Hi everyone, welcome back to Luke and Friends. I'm your host Luke Paron, and joining me today is the owner and operator of the Vintage 905 Vintage Shop in Whitby, Ontario, and he's also the host of the Gabbin with Gavin podcast. Joining me today in the studio is Gavin Clark.
Hello, Luke. Thanks so much for having me, man.
Thanks so much for coming on. And also, to anyone watching, you might notice some changes here. A microphone broke earlier today, so I have this boom mic here, and I was also prescribed with glasses. So that's new and exciting things. But what's new and exciting with you?
Nothing like that, buddy. I'm still glasses free. I'm on the good mic. It's nice. But it's always a pleasure being here. It's weird being on the other side, being the interviewee.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you host a podcast and run a vintage shop. So I want to just kind of jump right into it. And my first thing I always wonder every time I'm in your store or talking to you is, I have no idea what you did before the shop, was schooling or anything like that, or was it always your dream to be a self-managed business? Or tell me a bit about how you kind of got into that.
Sure, we're jumping right into it.
Absolutely,
I love it. No time like the present on Luke and Friends.
exactly.
Awesome, man.
Well, you know what it is? I always find, like the Sway Archer interview, for example, the title of that is WWE Gear Designer. We don't talk about the gear design until like an hour and 10 minutes into it. So I thought, you know what? I got to get right into what people are tuning in for you.
If this is what you tune in for, you're going to get it right now.
So I want to try and start keeping the second half more personal.
Yeah,
except
cool,
for the
man.
Voros Twins one. Like we talked strictly wrestling TikTok first, then personal. But then when I had Tempest on, the journalist, then it was like, because he's like my good friend. So I'm trying to find that balance. So you just get right into it about how you decided to do that.
For sure. It was kind of, I would say it was kind of always a dream for me. I always knew I was going to do my own thing, like have my own business of some sort. I always wanted to do a clothing store or something too, but it was never like, it wasn't like, oh, I want to start and then just got there. It was a lot of like ups and downs and like figuring things out. And like, so we've been in our location now. We're coming up on 5 years in Whitby there. And I'd say I started the business probably a couple years before that. So probably about 7 years now it's been running. And before that, man, it was a journey, like not smooth sailing. Like I dropped out of school a couple times, like out of college a couple times. It really took me a while to like find what I wanted to do.
Yeah, and so what were you going to university for, college or whatever?
I was going to party. Honestly, I'll be 100% honest with you, man. I went when I was 18. So like first I went to St. Lawrence College in Kingston.
Oh, okay.
And like it's such a bad idea, man. Like looking at it now, to put all these like 18-year-old kids, and like I stayed in res my first year too. Yeah. So it was like I had so much fun. It's probably the most fun year of my life. Nice. And I had like so many good friends that like I still talk to regularly and see like to this day. So like it was awesome. I went for fitness and health promotion.
Oh, okay.
Which was like
not really relevant to the Vision 905 sphere.
Not exactly. No, it was that was a detour. But like I honestly, like if you would ask me then what I wanted to do with it or whatever, I had no idea. Like, maybe I'll be a personal trainer or something, and it's like didn't have to go to college for that. Mm-hmm. So I really was there like just to have fun and hang out. Sorry, mom and dad. But yeah, like that's all it was. I just enjoyed myself. Ended up moving back out this way. I went to Durham College for a bit. Okay. And this is kind of where I had entrepreneurial dreams and stuff. Yeah. I went for entrepreneurial studies, and dude, I hated it. Yeah. It was every day I was there. I was like, what am I doing? Like, I should just be out working on a business.
Yeah.
Like it was so much just. I remember we took a computers class, and one day we were learning how to save a file.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are we doing?
Now, you know what? I will say file management I have learned through Impact is actually hella important. Like, file management is key. So I was saying, like, my buddy's coming on with Impact. His first week is just going to be a lot of showing him where everything gets stored. Because when we got, like, 20 years of content, like, it's literally our 20th anniversary this year. So they're like, oh, Luke, we want you to, the first Slammiversary ever. Or, like, this very specific moment that happened in a random televised episode. So it's like you got to know where like everything is. So don't overlook file management.
Sorry, Mr. Ring. So I went for that. I ended up dropping out after a few weeks, and then I kind of bounced around for a bit. I went back to Kingston. I worked as a dealer in a casino.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as a blackjack dealer for a while.
Nice.
That was a sweet gig. Then some like stuff happened at home. ended up moving home, like, to live back with my family and that. And then just, like, I remember, so I'll get right into it. So I was living at home, like, I was so broke, like, you know, didn't have any money to my name or anything. I got a job, like, I got a sales job, which I thought was, like, this is sweet. Like, I like talking to people. I like, you know, it's something like the maybe Jordan I can.
Belfort of Whitby making that commission money. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I was like, this is gonna be good. I did it for a few weeks, man, and it was a pyramid scheme. Yeah. Like, it was just, hey, see, like, we were going to places, like, it would be like old ladies would, like, fill out things to get a free air check on their furnaces and that, and then all of them would happen to be broken and they should get them replaced, kind of thing. Yeah. And I did that for a couple weeks. I was like, this is awful, man. Like, I feel bad, like, working this. Yeah. We're driving around everywhere, and, like, I remember it was like Brampton or something, and I had like an hour to kill between like our appointments or whatever. Yeah. So I went to a Value Village. I was just like poking around, kind of nothing to do. And
I've seen you out in the Value Village.
I've seen you in the trenches. Yeah. And I found like some sweet basketball jerseys. I remember I found like a Kobe Bryant jersey, like a Tracy McGrady jersey, and they were like $8. And I was like, damn, this is sweet. I should just do this all the time. Yeah. I then started, like, just as I was going to, like, these different cities doing this scammy pyramid scheme job, I'd check, like, what thrift stores were in the area and pop in. I was just buying stuff for myself at the time. Like, I never thought, like, I didn't realize it could be a business.
Yeah. And, you know, you'd be shocked. I've found some, like, on the kind of topic of finding kind of like treasures, you know, I found a first edition of the 6th Dune book. So, you know, the Dune saga right now is massive. It's a new movie. And, like, I bought it from Bible Submissions in Bowmanville. They had a 50% off sale. So 50% off at Bible Submissions. I paid $1 for this book. In mint condition, they're worth $400.
Yeah,
it's a first edition of a Dune printing. Like, so yeah, I know what you're talking about on the book side of things. So anyway, you're out there hunting for yourself.
Yeah. Then it just grew, man. Like, I would just find cool vintage stuff, and, like, I didn't even know, like, the vintage game or anything. I was buying, like, wrestling tees, and, like, like, I'd find, like, a cool Stone Cold shirt or, like, a basketball jersey, or just, like, stuff that, like, I was digging. And then I'd have buddies be like, where did you get this stuff? And I'd be like, oh, like, man, I got this. Like, oh, if you find anything my size, like, grab me this. Yeah. So I, like, started going to that, and then I made an Instagram page, and, like, that started getting followers, and we moved to the Pickering Flea Market. Set up a booth there for about a year.
I love that place.
Oh, man, R.I.P. the Pickering Flea Market.
Yeah.
That place was great. Like, and that was it, man. Like, I was it was my only job at the time. I'd go to thrift stores during the week, and, like, we'd have our booth on the weekend. Wow. And, like, it slowly started making money, and it was like more people were finding out about it, and we were like, let's just get a store.
Yeah. And that's so exciting. Wow. So I think kind of what made me think about it is, I was mentioning earlier before we started rolling how I got really into, like, the skate scene and stuff like that. Every 13, 14, 15-year-old, like, every big high school basically, and it's definitely weird when, like, you know, you see, like, adults who are, like, well graduated hanging out with, like, fucking high school and stuff like that. Sure. But, like, when you're at the skate park, it's this weird kind of, like, nothingness where it's like everyone is just there kind of, like, shredding. Yep. And I remember, like, all these little kids are talking about, like, oh, I want to go to the Curtis skate park. I say little, they were like 15, right? They're like, I want to go to Curtis. And, like, I was like, you know, I am going there already. I was like, yo, I'm going there. You want to ride? And, like, I like never met these kids before, but they're so sick, right? So this whole kind of big skate scene, anyway, all those kids ever talked about was every single one of them was like, we should open a skate shop in Bowmanville. Little do they know there's been like 5 that have rolled through here. So my question to you is, you know, you hear kids talk about, like, I want to open this shop, I want to open that shop. How does that actually, like, manifest into, like, a real thing that you are doing?
Oh, dude, that's 1,000% it though. Like, I skated a lot as a kid, and it was like, I want to open a skate shop. Like, that was just, like, the coolest thing as a kid, right? Like any of the skate shops, like in Alcatraz or something, like, back in the day. And then, like, I always thought, like record stores and that were cool, and, like, so I always figured it would be something like that. Like, I never knew vintage clothing was a thing then. Like, it kind of wasn't, like, way back, right? Like, nobody was buying 90s clothing in 2010. You have to kind
of wait for something to become vintage, almost, right? Yeah. And, like, plus now with, like, the internet and stuff like that, we can kind of look back at, like, styles, whereas, like, in the 70s, no one was probably like, I was born in the wrong generation, wanted to be, like, in the 50s, because, like, how would you even know, like, what?
Completely.
Because so now we have kind of, like, we can look back at, like, the history of style and kind of choose our genres, I guess, of what we like, you know?
Somebody explained it to me. They said, the generation, like the people who are buying clothes, they just don't want to dress like their parents. Like, so they'll go like the one before it, like there's something current. Like, if your parents are from the 90s, like you want to dress like the 70s. Like, it's always a few generations behind.
And I love like the evolution of fashion a lot. And like, I'm really like, I love seeing like new outfits and stuff like that. And I like watching kind of trends emerge. Like kind of a good example is like, so the last sort of like real fashion, like zeitgeist, I guess would be the word, is like in maybe 2015, 2016, like plaid shirts for men was like the big thing, and like cuffed button ups and stuff like that. And like nowadays it's almost like vintage, like is kind of like the dominant kind of style I see. Now, of course, like there's like subcultures, like social groups and stuff like that. Like when you go to like the skate park, like they have their own look and like everyone has their own look. But like, I don't know if I was leading into a question with this or anything like that, but I guess we're just talking now. But yeah, what do you kind of like think is like of the current state of fashion, like where it's heading and stuff like that?
That's interesting because it's like you said, fashion is such a broad term. Yeah, like it could mean anything, right? And like I'm no fashion expert. Like
you're pretty fashionable. Yeah. What's funny is that I think it's all about like knowing like how to like style things, right? So like, oddly enough, total coincidence, you're wearing a Morrissey t-shirt, I'm wearing a Morrissey t-shirt.
Not planned.
But
not planned.
You've styled something around it, right? So like, whereas me on the other hand, well, first of all, I had a whole outfit on that I changed last minute because it was fucking hot out. But I guess it's like styling things is kind of like, is to have the eye for fashion, I guess. I honestly, man, I don't consider myself like I honestly like this because it reminds me of Mick Foley. Yeah. Like it's like when he was commissioner. This is the cut off flannel. Like, I like stuff like that, man. Like sometimes I think of people who like, I think dress cool, and I could like maybe pick a little thing out of there, like something like this vest, and like, it's not always like Mick Foley's not a fashion icon, like, but I think he like is like, but he could be to his own subculture, people that like what he does, right?
So like, so I never know, like I don't really follow, I guess you'd say, like I don't follow a lot of like fashion pages or anything like that, so I never really know what's in, and like I just always like dress what I like. Like I was wearing wrestling t-shirts forever, and like you know, man, I used to get made fun of for that. And like now they're like everybody wants. People are paying hundreds of dollars for that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think on the note of like people paying like, you know, like lots of money for vintage things, Twitter is a place where they do a lot of threads about a lot of topics. And a big thing that I've kind of seen people, problematic isn't the right word, but people kind of bring attention to. Some people think it is problematic and stuff like that. Is like what some people think is like ridiculous upcharging of vintage items. But I think your shop is interesting because it's the only place I go to that really, you know, is like a refined collection of vintage clothes. But you know, when I go to your shop and I pay like, you know, $40 for like a Rock t-shirt or something like that, I don't really think it's like unethical or anything, because when I'm not paying for the t-shirt, I'm paying because you kind of like did the scouting or dug around. You know, I've literally seen you at Value Village like hunting for like hours and stuff like that. So I didn't see there 4 hours, but I can only assume you've gone through like everything, right? So it's like you're paying for the work they did to acquire that. Whereas if anyone could go in and just find a Rock t-shirt, I would have all the vintage shirts, right?
Definitely.
So where do you think that kind of like is like an ethic? Like, where do you think like the ethics lie of like when can you charge like a ton of money for like a vintage thing when in reality it's like a $4 t-shirt?
Well, of course, man. Like, and I do get that. I fully get the arguments when people are. It's more of a. It's more just like an ignorance thing. Like they don't get it, right? They say, well, I've seen this t-shirt for whatever. So like, why is it so much?
Yeah.
It's like anything, man. Like the grocery stores buy groceries for cheaper than they sell them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so it's like there always is going to be markup, or else like we wouldn't be in business. But I think like there's market prices for things. Like there is a set market in vintage. Like you were mentioning your 6 Dune book.
Yeah.
Like that to somebody, they might just go, that's just why is that $400? It's just a book, right?
Yeah.
It's the same as like, you know, why would this Morrissey tee be worth more than like one at H&M?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like it does have. I do get the arguments, and like, oh man, there's some things that we've sold some stuff where it's like, why? Like not even like that we charge.
Well, some of that behind the counter up on the high wall stuff that you guys have is crazy.
It's nuts, man. And like we've done some like specialty auctions and stuff that are for like vintage collectors, and like we've, you know, held on to stuff for like a while to do it in like
especially when it's auctioned, you can't really put a price on that because that's the whole point of the auction is how much are you willing to pay for said object, right? If you want it that bad and other people want it that bad, that's how the price is decided.
It's gotten insane. Like I'll give you a little,
give us some
little soundbite here.
Big sellers.
The craziest one we've ever sold. We sold it one T-shirt for $3,800 US.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was in one of those auctions, and like we were. Well, like we had one guy on, like shout out Mike Cameron, my business partner, co-owner of Vintage 905. Me and him were doing the auction, and like one guy's on the camera, one guy was like in front of it.
Yeah.
And I remember him just holding it like trying not to have a panic attack.
Can you tell us what this shirt was?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or like what established the
absolutely,
value
man.
on it?
I can. Yeah, definitely. It was an old rap tee. Like there's certain rap tees they're like. Can I explain it best? There's certain old tees that were like, there's basically like a square, like a print, like you would, how you would draw up like a digital. Think of like a graphic, right? Like, and then you know the old screen printing processes.
Yep.
So that's all it was. Like they would take the squares and then the old like 4-color tees.
Yeah.
So like they're really rare, and hip hop stuff, like there's so little of it out there because it just like it wasn't as popular as rock and roll in that.
Well, because it was like an underground scene, right?
Exactly.
So you can imagine like some of the merchandise gets lost, or someone goes through a phase where they're into it and they grow up, and it's like it's like comics, right? Like everyone had a comics phase, and then they end up in their attic not realizing that people who are still passionate are like they're sought after items.
Yes. Yeah. So it gets nuts. Like we sold some. It was a Janet Jackson Naughty by Nature.
Collab
nice.
Tee.
So it was like super rare. I think it was like the highest something had gone on that auction site.
So
like
sick.
It was nuts. We've had a few crazy ones. Like we sold another Janet Jackson tee for like $1,200. Even some cool like wrestling ones, man. Like I remember we sold a New Jack tee for $500.
Okay, you know what's funny? There are few wrestlers I would pay like kind of fucked up money for. New Jack might be one of them.
Man,
especially to like, with his passing is like super sad and stuff like that. That really came out of nowhere.
Super unexpected, yeah.
But especially because like, like months prior he had done the Dark Side of the Ring where he was like doing the interviews on it and stuff like that. But they're also kind of like historically relevant t-shirts and stuff like that. So like the rap stuff is like might be relevant to like the culture or to like a fan base, something like that. But the prime example I have in my head is like you guys behind the counter had like some like OJ trial shirts that were like handmade, homemade by people, right? Dude. So those are almost like that could be in like a museum of like modern historical moments and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So like, do you think like 30 years from now you could be seeing like Johnny versus Amber shirts? Because like
1,000%.
And you see TikToks of like the fans that were like out there, which is like, I'm not endorsing it by any means, like, but like so many crazy like fanatics like with 1,000%. Signs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you're definitely going to be seeing that. Like,
man, that's all. That's a great comparison. The OJTs are like legendary now because they were all like screen printed and sold outside of the trial.
Yeah.
Like, we have one that a guy bought a guy brought it in. This cool old guy. He had a couple like Buffalo Bills shirts and an OJT. And he was like, I bought it in the parking lot at a Buffalo Bills game, like during the trial.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's crazy, man. I'd say like we've had probably like a good dozen come through. Yeah. So I'd say like 10 out of the 12 are like OJ did it or like who knows kind of thing. But then you get the odd one that's like 100% not guilty. Like,
yeah,
they're wild
too. It's it took me a while to kind of learn this and accept this because I used to think it like fashion in itself was like quite stupid and stuff like that. But I've kind of realized that like hobbies are hobbies, and it's like, of course, no piece of fabric is worth like $20,000 or whatever. But you're paying for what you believe to be like an artistic design or whatever. So the thing is, you could buy like replicas. Like anyone could go on like Redbubble or whatever, right, and find like a newsprint of like an OJ trial or whatever, and then print that if you like the design. But I guess when people are coming to your store, they're coming for like the history, the authenticity, and like I'm saying, like the museum pieces almost, right? So it's like you can get a replica of a raptor tooth, or you can get like a real raptor tooth or whatever, man. Right?
For sure.
So,
and I get it too. Not everybody has $1,200 to spend on a Razor Ramon tee. Like,
of course.
When WWE Shop sells a similar one for $30, like I get it. They're not as good, and like, but
I think the thing is too for me that I find a hard sell for like some vintage clothing is obviously back in the day the technology for printing shirts and stuff and the materials. I literally think so many vintage shirts are uncomfortable to wear. Like they just like they're either too tight in the armpits or whatever. Whereas like that modern like tri-blend, man, is so comfortable. It's like if they made shirts like that back in the day that were like that comfortable and that cool, like then I'd be going crazy.
Oh man, you just got to find a vintage tee that works for you, because there's some comfortable, like I can't wear modern tees now. Like,
oh really?
Like I have quite a few, just like, you know, like friends and like indie wrestling shows and that, like, so I have a few modern tees, and like I think maybe I'm just so used to it. You got to find a nice soft, like, get yourself a Fruit of the Loom made in USA.
But like even that Raw shirt I bought off you, right? Like the classic Raw.
Oh yeah, you know, I forgot they got that.
That was I think the cheapest shirt you had in the store, because that was like the Raw marketing design back then, right? So that was like the most printed T-shirt probably. So but even that shirt, like, I can't wear it unless it's like with like a black long sleeve under, because I just think it's like itchy and it's too thick, and the material and all that. And then my brother, for his last concert ever, I think wore that on stage. He wore a black tee under, or like a black long sleeve under it with that. And yeah, that's a sick shirt. And I think there has been some items I've been tempted to buy from your shop. The China portrait that was like that airbrush style.
Oh yeah,
that was like $60, I think. And I was like, no, I just know I'm not gonna wear this enough, or I'm gonna put a hole in it or something like that. So, one time though, I had this sweet airbrushed edge shirt that I had when I was like a kid, and I'm not gonna get into. I'm just realizing that light is like not. You want to just push that light to face me a bit more? It's not like see the shift the box. So grab that, tilt it, put that right on me. Perfect. There we go. Yeah, that's not the end of the world. And this one could be more over too.
Perfect.
Anyway, I'm probably overthinking it, but it's not going to make a difference at all. But still,
we're back.
It got fucking someone intentionally ripped it.
No.
And I was like 11 at the time, 12 maybe, and that would have been a fucking sick shirt.
For real, airbrushed edge.
Yeah, we were doing this little short
film. Bring back airbrushing.
And yeah, literally. But we were doing this little short film, and I guess they thought it was like a random like fucking tee. Even if it was, you shouldn't just fucking rip someone's shirt, right? But we were kids. I can't blame them for their erratic decisions. You know, I've done some crazy shit as a child too. But we were doing this little short film. They're like, no, you need to look more like rugged. And they're like, let's just do this. And they were just like, and I was like, ah. And I was supposed to meet Edge at Fan Expo too, and I wanted to wear that. And I was like, nah. And I got that shirt out of flea market too.
Oh no!
And I was like, I'm never finding this again.
Yeah.
But so that was fucked up. But yeah, whatever. So stuff like that happens. But what can you do?
One thing I just want to touch on that we talked about earlier, just you talk about, like, you said, like, fashion is kind of stupid.
Well, yeah,
I think like I think it is, and I think the biggest takeaway, this is the one thing I wanted to get at, is just wear what you like, and like don't ever dress to impress other people, and like don't do it. Like, I spent so long trying to do that when I was younger. Like when I was like in high school, and like I was like, oh well, people think this is cool. Like, well, people are gonna make fun of me if I wear this. I think the coolest people are like people who just dress their 100, like they've made their own style. Yeah, you see something, you're like, oh, that's a Luke look. Like that's something like. Sure. So yeah, so don't ever like, don't get too focused on fashion. You know, like. And it's just clothes at the end of the day. Yeah,
and I think too, what's interesting, you talked about, you know, that's like a Luke style. I'm very when it comes to like my kind of view on clothes, I'm getting more into presenting what I wear these days as like a completed like vision, I guess you could call it. And a vision might be like a kind of an over complicated word for it, but like, you know, when you put on that outfit, you did have like a vision. You didn't just put on a t-shirt for function. You're like, oh, this will look good. Like, and that
I was just trying not to wear black. I was shocked how many of my t-shirts were black.
But
and hats.
It's hard for me nowadays because I am very much someone who changes their aesthetic on a day-to-day, or even like what my interests are will affect like what I'm wearing, and like just how I'm feeling that week. So like, you know, you follow my Instagram, so you might see like I pretty heavily dabble in like femininity, like very often.
I would say for sure you're a more fashionable person than me.
I too, it depends on the day, really. Is what it comes down to. But you know, I had like my long hair, and it got to a point where I was like straightening it, clean shaven all the time, but then it wasn't looking how I wanted it to. But then like even when I've gone like into like full on drag at times, where it's like full feminine styling with like makeup, wig, fucking thing. I don't wear that out, but honestly, just because I don't think it's of quality enough to wear out. Like if I was really confident like how it looked, I would wear it out. But then some days too, I'll let my facial hair grow back and I'll be like full masculinity and I'll dress like, you know, very traditionally masculine. And then some days I'll wear like a women's like flowy fucking like shawl, but like with my beard. So like I'm very like in between. And now that I've cut my hair and gotten my glasses prescribed, my outfit styles are changing again. Like I went and saw a movie last week and I wore a fucking white dress shirt with a black like cardigan over it. Yeah. And I was like, that's a more like kind of academic look. Just I like the way it looks with the glasses and the short hair, right? So everything just happens on a whim. And then I saw Top Gun. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Mustache time. So now we're going in that. So we're going to try and see how that looks. But it's ever changing for me. I think for most people it's ever changing as well. But for me, it's very rapid. Like literally day to day, I could be, you know, wanting to look like a full on fucking woman. And then the next day I'd be like, I want to look like fucking Miles Teller in Top Gun. You know?
I think that's cool as shit, man. Like, do you like, you know, like that, those, like, that's the people that I think, like, I consider cool and like fashionable and that now.
You know who I think though is like my true fashion inspiration icon right now?
I'd love to hear.
Do you listen to Crownlands?
I know Crownlands, yeah.
Cody Bowles from Crownlands. The outfits they wear every day and on stage are absolutely nuts. And I was like, Cody, you have to tell me, where do you get your clothes? Thrift. Yeah. Fucking all of them. Or a stylist will like rent them out or something like that. Because some of the fits that Cody's worn, like music videos and stuff like that, are like, I'm like, where did you fucking find this? And Cody's like, a stylist like got it from like a professional designer, and then we just rented it for like one day. But I remember for my birthday, Cody bought me this black. It's like what's like translucent, like semi-transparent. Okay, yeah. It's this kind of women's blouse thing, but it's like a poncho kind of shape, and it's black or gray, I guess, with black flowers all over it, but it's see-through. I wore that shit like every day of the summer. So, but yeah, Cody always is looking like an elf or some sort of like Led Zeppelin.
I was going to say like old school rock star. Yeah. Like that.
Yeah. Even when they're not performing though, which I fucking
that's badass.
Love. And Cody's coming on the podcast at some point.
Oh yeah.
But they're fucking touring coming up soon, doing a stadium tour with Greta Van Fleet. Which is gonna be
that's hell yeah. And good for them. I like that's cool.
Yeah, I've been begging for that concert. Every time I see Cody, I'm like, you need to become best friends with Greta Van Fleet. And Cody's like, oh, I mean, it's not really up to us. Well, it's the promoters have to kind of work it out. And I'm like, for years, I've been like, tour. And then Cody texted us and was like, you're going to want to check Instagram tomorrow. I was like, what is this going to be? What could it be? And then it got announced. I was fired.
Oh, that's awesome. Are they coming in Toronto? Do you know?
No, they're not. So it's they're doing America, Canada, and then Crownlands just did a UK brief run. But I guess they worked it out where they could pick what leg of the tour they wanted to do. And Crownlands already has such a major base in Canada because they're from Canada, right? They play here all the time that they're like, we really want to do just the American dates and do that. So the Pretty Reckless is opening for
cool.
Toronto date, that's really exciting. But my dream concert, I can't.
You're going to have to travel somewhere.
So yeah. I just, this weekend, I think even, it might be tonight. It's Saturday today, right?
It is.
Paul McCartney's playing in Syracuse, and I really wanted to go to that. But I saw Ringo last week, which was
that's all that looked awesome.
But on the topic of fashion icons, who are some fashion icons that you really like and people that you think have really nice finished looks, or people that you just think look really cool?
Al Pacino and Serpico.
I don't know who Serpico is.
No, in Serpico, the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's a film that he's in. Okay.
Yeah. Man, he is like whenever people ask like some fashion stuff, I think that's like the sickest movie fashion.
So describe it so I can get like a mental image.
He is an undercover cop, and he plays up that he's like kind of like a street guy in the 70s. So it's like baggy clothes, bucket hats, like it's just he just kills little shorts, like he just kills all the looks. How about a real person? I've always thought there's so many, man. I'm blanking. I've always been really into hip hop. So there's lots of guys like from there. Those are kind of like the guys I thought. It's embarrassing. Like I started getting into fashion was like the early 2000s when it was like big jerseys and like, man, I made some poor style choices like growing up. I remember my first day of high school. I wore an And One mixtape tour basketball jersey with like camo print all around it, and then like a pair of jean shorts, which I didn't know was uncool. Everybody,
that's like John Cena.
It was, man. I had a John Cena. I was a chain gang soldier, buddy. I loved John Cena. Man, I should have brought some pictures. I have a sweet picture of me meeting John Cena as a kid.
Send it in. I'll put up the graphic.
I'm wearing an Allen Iverson jersey. I've got like the sweatbands all down my arm and stuff. Yeah. I wanted to be John Cena. John Cena was probably my first like fashion guy that like I tried to kind of copy.
Yeah.
I thought he was so cool, man, when he was doing the rapping and everything.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think of wrestlers nowadays who have great fashion.
I think a lot of wrestlers dress really well nowadays.
Andrade is always in suits, which is cool.
I even find like Ricky Starks, like a bunch of those guys dress really well.
Or Jade Cargill too.
Oh yeah,
fucking crazy with like the body suits. Like
Jade Cargill's money, dude.
Oh, absolutely. I think fucking world champion on their hands.
Definitely.
Right there. Absolutely.
I said that from the first time I saw her. Like, it's just somebody you see and you go, holy, like.
Yeah. And are you on Twitter?
I'm not.
If you've seen,
I lurk a lot of like.
Yeah, on her socials, she has this kind of like motto, or she says on the show, "Green like money." Mm-hmm. But the way that came from someone on Twitter was like, she's so like green as in new, right? And like she sucks. Jade Cargill is nothing but green, and then she retweeted and said "green like money," and everyone was like, "Oh my god, this woman's so sick."
She's great, man. They just did a Players Tribune article on her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she's awesome, dude. Like she's so confident, and like she will be a star. Yeah, like I mean, she already is. She's
obviously
undefeated TBS champion and that, but like she'll be the biggest women's wrestler in the world possibly.
So. And once we're getting like closer and closer every day, it seems like, to promotion, like the indies just like working with each other 1,000%. Yeah. And when we get Jade Cargill versus Jordan Grace, that's gonna be crazy.
That's gotta happen.
Who are just jacked, shredded, and I've been saying it forever. I think Jordan Grace should be Tessa Blanchard already did it. But I think Jordan Grace needs to be the first women's Impact champion. Not first, second, I guess. Mm-hmm. But it's just, I just look at Jordan Grace, and she was the first digital media champion. I just look at her and I'm like, you need to be in the main event like every night. So that's anyway.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, I know wrestling is all suspending disbelief in that.
Yeah.
But I feel like there has to be some like to your appearance, there has to be some sort of legitimacy. That's what like a Jordan Grace or a Jade Cargill has. Like,
and if there's not, there has to be such a story behind it.
Absolutely.
Like Rey Mysterio, right?
Absolutely.
Like, of course he could never beat like Great Khali or whoever you want to say, but it's like when you invest so much in the character, he becomes like a superhero where it's like, you're like, oh, he's gonna outsmart, or he's gonna, like, a really good example of that is CM Punk fought Will Hobbs as his second match. And I thought, well, how is CM Punk going to beat Will Hobbs? I was like, unless he goes for some crazy maneuver here. And what he did was, the second the bell rang, he dove at his legs and just started punching him in the thighs and kicking his knees and kicking him in the calves. And I was like, oh, he's going to like AT-AT, take him out like a fucking Titan or something and go for his legs. I was like, of course that's how he'll do it.
Yeah.
So it's all, there's that fine line. It's got to be kind of one or the other. You got to find how you want to do it.
I know Punk's a polarizing guy, but he is a great storyteller. Like, exactly. That Hobbs match was great.
And did you see about all that interim AW champion stuff?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I think they should give MJF the belt.
And
then have them rematch and have.
There is so much you can do. Like, it's almost. I feel bad for it. Like, I really do.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Finn Balor.
Finn Balor is even worse to me though, because it's like
Punk's had his runs and
and you could be like, oh, but Punk like coming back is so legendary, and like I can't believe they're doing it, and like he wins and this would happen. It's like, but it's like he has nothing to prove.
Yeah.
Where it's like Finn Balor is like this young guy, inaugural champion for this insane belt, and he's never had it since, which is
crazy. Crazy.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. Like I'm sure we'll get into some WWE mistakes.
Yeah,
but that's got to be one of the biggest ones. I almost think like it's, of course it's terrible, Punk's hurt and everything. Mm-hmm. You almost could have wrote it this way, like for him to win and then have to relinquish that. Like this is almost perfect storytelling, and then eventually he'll get that pop he gets when he comes back.
And that's what I was thinking.
And you got Kenny coming back.
Get a moment of, we knew he was coming back last time. We knew the return was coming. Whereas now that he's out, when he does return, it'll be a complete surprise. he'll just show up one day and be like, I'm fine. People are going to go nuts. It'll be an actual surprise. And like, it could be an even bigger, like, I think like Cena Royal Rumble 2008. Like, it could be like that.
It's legendary.
But I would, they say there's all this turmoil between MJF and Tony Khan and all that. And like, so I guess because you're not on Twitter, but a lot of like Sean Ross Sapp, who's like the most reputable like journalist, he says like it wasn't a work and like there was actually beef, he was gonna leave and all that stuff. If that is true,
he's in on it.
So you can say whatever, but let's say there was actual heat between him and Tony.
Sure.
If Tony really wanted him to stay, he could go, let's make you the inaugural champ.
Sure.
And you like, because MJF he is world champ material, obviously. Yep. Give it to him somehow, even though that won't happen because Jon Moxley versus the number one contender is gonna happen. But I would love to see MJF for the belt, and then you can have him and Punk do a big rematch. And it would kind of echo Punk's old run where he talked about how he should be the main event. And now it's John Cena and The Rock, whereas MJF could say the same thing. I should be the main event. And now it's this old legend Punk who has become kind of what he hated and all that. You could do a lot of cool things with MJF, I think. I just love the guy.
I love him, man. I have a buddy who's like a casual fan, and he was talking to me about MJF. He said like, I almost don't even like watching him wrestle. Like I just want to see him on the mic every single episode. You want the
match to end, so
you can get back on the stick. It is he reminds me of like Stone Cold in the 90s. Yeah. Like it's like you get that feeling of like what is gonna happen. Yeah. So would you put the belt on him?
I would.
If you were in this scenario, like for the interim.
I wouldn't. I would run back MJF for CM Punk, and I would have MJF win. I think there's no advantage to Punk being the champion, other than it's really cool. Which is definitely allowed in wrestling. I hate when people are like, "Oh, it's just fan service." It's like, it's fucking wrestling, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you don't want to piss off all your fans all the time.
Believe it or not,
I know that's what you guys are used to.
But no, I think Punk isn't someone to me who needs to be champ. I love watching him come in, wrestle, do whatever. Yep. I think
my one counter to that would just be it gets casualized. Like I heard people say like I tuned in just because I saw a new Punk was a champ, and then I saw that MJF promo, and now they're like, now who the hell is this MJF guy?
Yeah, that's
so it's like I get that argument. It's same as like probably why they put the strap on Jericho instead of Hangman off the start, right? Even though Hangman's the up and comer and like.
Well, you could have done it either way. People said like it might send the wrong message to put it on Jericho, but from a business standpoint, they're like, if people hear, whoa, there's a new wrestling company with Chris Jericho as a champ, like that's crazy. Or if they hear is who the fuck, Adam Page, big name, like they don't know. We know he's awesome.
Exactly.
But they don't.
Yeah.
But
I wasn't super familiar with him before.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was really into New Japan, so only knew loosely of him through like loose Bullet Club stuff.
I watched a little bit of Being the Elite in that during the New Japan run. And
there's a really good show on the New Japan YouTube channel called, I think it's called The Recount, where Kevin Kelly, who's a commentator,
of course,
just recounts like the big moments in New Japan history, and he does like a 5 episode. They're all 30 minutes long. 5 episodes in like the history of the Bullet Club. Really good watch for anyone who's into that. But yeah, Kevin Kelly's sick. I got him on LinkedIn. I would love to have him on the show sometime.
Hey, Kevin Kelly, do the show. I'll watch.
I think it would be Kevin Kelly, Chris Charlton, and Gino are like my favorite trio of commentators ever. But yeah, Chris Charlton too. He's like a real historian in New Japan. He wrote a book called Eggshells, which is like the history of wrestling in the Tokyo Dome. The audiobook sucks. I think the narrator is like crazy. He's like yelling all the time. But that is a great book. But I would recommend the print edition. Oddly enough, because I'm like a fucking preacher of audiobooks. Like I think audiobooks are not superior. A little bit. Sometimes I do think audiobooks are superior because the narrator has read the piece so many times. They know the inflection of how it's supposed to be delivered. Whereas sometimes like you could like read a chapter and think they're like pissed off or something, and then you'll be like, he said in a calm tone, oh, I thought he was pissed this whole time. Mm-hmm. Whereas the narrator already knows that. And Stephen King himself even said audiobooks are the not proper, but he thinks are the best experience to read The Dark Tower because well, he goes into the whole thing. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. But anyways, I get going on about audiobooks, but Chris Charlton's Eggshells is a really interesting book. But anyway, let's go back to clothing for a second. Wrestling clothing and all that. I think Boy George he's someone who I think is a fashion icon and someone I really resonated with. Because I looked at him and I was like, okay, he's wearing a white t-shirt and then a black vest, but like this cowboy hat with like what the fuck is on his head, and he's got these big earrings and stuff like that. So I think he's a really interesting one. And musicians in general breed a lot of really unique fashion. Do you have any other than like rap you're talking about?
Man, there's so many. Like
almost eras in fashion.
Exactly.
Music, like the 80s Boy George is what I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah, like there's so many cool ones, man. Like we do a lot of like when we like we'll post a t-shirt, like we'll look at old pictures and like post like one of whatever with it. So even just seeing like the guys in like Guns N' Roses and that, like they all dressed like super cool, man. Like Axl was like, yeah, he was a badass. Like he wore like the Charlie Don't Surf, like Charles Manson shirts, and like,
yeah, I think my favorite look he ever did was just because as someone who like really goes back and forth between like masculine and feminine outfits, at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert, they did Bohemian Rhapsody with Elton John singing the first half, and then when it kicks off, Axl does like the second half, and he the beautiful piano slow part ends with Elton John, and then that hits, and Axl sprints on stage, and he's wearing like a pleated leather skirt,
sick, and
I know, like a white fishnet shirt or something like that, and I was like, yeah, this goes fucking crazy with like big docks too, and like now black skirts with the big docks, that's like goth girl look. So like, man, so many great fits, and it's unfortunate you watch like this Axl in this beautiful outfit, and then he'll be like spitting on a fan or something, and you'll be like,
But there's so many, dude. Like Prince was amazing. Yeah, like
he's kind of like the big obvious.
Of course, hits, right? That's what I mean. Like even like I don't know, Kurt Cobain with like the grunge look. Like there's so many cool eras of like fashion.
Yeah, it's really interesting how music and musicians almost kind of like set the tone for like the decade, whereas like, you know, footwear nowadays is pretty much like 80% Yeezy inspired, right? Mm-hmm. And when those first like Yeezys dropped, I was like, I fucking hated them, and I still do. I think they look really fucking lame. But now so many shoes have those big spongy bottoms and whatnot. Yeah. And I guess because like I love like the canvas Vans look. Are you rocking them right now? Yeah, those Yeezy-esque shoes, right? So, but I hate to break it to you, they're actually, let me take a look at those.
These are pretty comfy.
Those are not as obnoxious though as they like. I don't know if it's a specific type, right? But like, you know the ones I'm talking about that have like gargantuan fucking odd shape to them, and like you're like the Yeezy slides, right?
Oh man, yeah.
Kind of like that, but they're like in like a sneaker form. They're just like so like obnoxiously like large, and I'm like, where those are like sleek.
Yeah, these are.
Whereas like maybe I'm confusing the fucking things, but they're fucking big bulky things, and I was like, those are insane. Like what the fuck is that? So but Yeezy brand is like kind of the tone setter in fashion now I see a ton of people wearing like oversized plain t-shirts and stuff like that. But anyway,
honestly, Kanye's always been a guy like I thought it's amazing fashion.
I gotta find a picture of the shoes I'm referencing. Like it's on the tip of my brain.
I've always thought he was like a really cool fashion guy. Like he used to rock the pink polos, like back when everybody was trying to be like super gangster in rap. Yeah, and like I don't know. I think that stuff's cool. Going against the grain is always kind of cool. Than like other than trying to just do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, and I think too, and I'm not like a Kanye fan. I'm a little bit of a Kanye hater. A lot of my
I feel like it's either one or the other.
Yeah. So, but he's certainly an artist. Whereas like every action he chooses in his presentation is inspired by what he wants to be as an artist. Whereas you don't see a ton of that anymore. And I'm happy that people like that still exist and artists like that still exist. But I can't find these fucking shoes I'm thinking of.
I was watching Norm Macdonald live.
The GOAT.
The absolute GOAT. And he was talking about oh shit, what I totally just blanked there. We were talking about Kanye.
Completed artists who present themselves fully, and then you were like Norm.
Someone with Norm. Jesus, I had a brain cramp, man. I totally lost it. We'll get that in post.
Okay, now here's an interesting shoe. The Balenciaga Destroyer.
It's funny. I was actually going to ask if you were thinking about like Balenciagas or something.
That's not what I was.
These are terrible. They're like $1,800 and they're covered in dirt.
Now here's the thing about these though. If people like that look, it's easy for people to say, "Oh, I could run my shoes through dirt." Yeah, but they'd be fucking dirty and disgusting and smelly and falling apart. Where these aren't actually. They have a base and they have I'm assuming, a finished sole in them and have like an inner shape. So at least I see like there's function in these, you know?
Yes. I don't know about like $1,800 worth of function. You can get a pair of New Balance for $50 that function.
Yeah, that is true.
So that's like that's exactly what we were talking about, like just kind of weird fashion.
Now the Balenciaga Destroyed crew neck knit sweatshirt. Now like that to me, the shoes justify the price because when you're wearing the shoe, a shoe needs to be completed on the inside for it to function as a shoe. Whereas an outer knit sweater, you could rip it up yourself without losing any of the function of it, right?
Yes.
And you could replicate this identically. Whereas if you wanted to replicate this shoe, the shoe would get destroyed in the process and you couldn't wear it anymore, I don't think.
It'd be a
Whereas
lot.
I think you can wear these and they are intact, you know?
Yes, I see what you're saying. I kind of like that sweater though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But this sweater, I wouldn't pay $900 for it because I could thrift a knit sweater.
Yeah.
But okay, I'm realizing it's not Yeezys that I'm thinking of.
There's a lot of like clunky, ugly shoes.
Yeah, I'm fucking.
It was like a bunch of the high fashion brands really went clunky. Like that was a big thing for a while.
Oh, maybe these are them. Kind of like this. This is closer to what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I thought Yeezys looked like this. Okay. See, it goes to show how much I know. Because then I looked down at your shoes. I was like, well, those aren't as obnoxious as I remember. But this is all just me covering for insulting his shoes, actually. No, but
I mean, they're zebra striped. They're pretty obnoxious.
Big, blocky things like this.
Yeah.
Those are definitely... Okay, this is the exact form factor I'm talking here.
Funny. I was actually going to ask you that.
Whereas the heel doesn't close. The heel extends really far.
Yeah.
Right? So that would fucking... that would bother me so much because... The heel is the one that does it in for me. Whereas I like a heel that just ends at your heel, right? Whereas this like shoots out beyond.
Yeah, it looks like you're trying to squeeze an extra inch on your shoe size.
And yeah, I think that would disrupt my rhythm as I walk. Now, okay, thoughts on the Balenciaga Croc heels?
You got a picture?
Yeah, I do have a picture. I
don't.
These are real, by the way. I have seen these marketed like crazy.
And
they're $900, by the way.
I don't have a strong opinion on the Balenciaga Croc heels.
Okay.
I honestly, man, I think it's kind of sick, to be honest. Like, it's just I like the idea of just taking like a Crocs brand and doing a collab with a designer.
Yeah, I do think that is quite
like. I think if you're buying Balenciaga shoes, you've obviously got quite a bit of money to spend.
That's the thing too. If you like
those are fun, man.
I love Julia Fox. Okay,
oh, sure, she's your muse.
And a lot of fucking Julia Fox haters out there. Oh, okay. Now, side note here. Thoughts on these? The Balenciaga Defenders.
Jesus, those are wild.
That's a whole sphere on the back. That's a sphere. That's fucking crazy.
That's a little too much soul.
Yeah. So I think I saw a picture of Julia Fox wearing the Croc heels. She's someone who she knows exactly what she's doing. She's a fucking super genius, okay? Like, I love her. And I was disappointed to see her kind of dating Kanye, to be quite honest, because I'm a Kanye hater, right? So when I saw her dating Kanye, I was like, first of all, you're too good for this. And like 2 weeks before she started dating Kanye, she released this big article about like she's a single mother and her ex-husband was like a crazy person who was like an abuser and stuff like that.
Then she goes
and I'm like, oh, look at you, girl boss, single mother, killing it. Used to be a professional dominatrix. Now you're in the Safdie brothers movies. You're so cool. Like,
love
I'm
the
like,
Safdie
good
brothers.
for you. And then I was like, no. Kanye is a dark path. Don't go down that. But now she's a mega star. And like my kind of flex is that like I discovered her like before Uncut Gems even came out. I got to see it 3 months early at TIFF. Right?
Oh, beautiful.
So it's like I did discover her through Uncut Gems, but it's like I knew her when her Instagram had like 30,000 followers, right?
She was great in that.
So yeah, and like the thing is too, when they made that movie too, studios were like, you can't cast your friend in this just because she's your friend. Like, we need like a big name actor. And it's after this called her, and they're like, we don't know what to do because like, and they wrote it. Well, they wrote it for her, right? So the original plan, they wanted Adam Sandler and Julia Fox to star in it, but they had written it 10 years prior to its production. And Adam Sandler was like, you guys are like nobodies. Like, I'm not gonna be in this like random movie, right? And then they made
Good Time.
And then Scorsese was like, fuck it, I'll produce Uncut Gems. And then they had all that attachment to it. So yeah, I love Julia Fox and everything she does. I'm such a fan of, and I'm so happy she's famous now. She's famous now, but I was a little bit concerned for her in her Kanye arc because I was like, this ain't you. This ain't you.
It's, yeah. There's a lot going on with Kanye.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'm a fan. I liked a lot of his, pretty much all his records.
The thing is, another thing that kind of grinded my gears though is, so I don't listen to a ton of his music. My favorite Kanye song is, what's the one that was unreleased, and Never See Me Again. You ever heard that song?
I don't know.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Who's the Kanye fan now?
I know. You're pulling some underground stuff.
So the way I found it, because it blew up on TikTok, and it's this unreleased track he has, and a lot of it's just mumbling because it's just him going over a beat he wants to use, and it's like 10 minutes long. That shit is so fucking good. But then I listened to like a lot of his like whole discography after that, and I just didn't fuck with like a ton of it. And then too, I'm a big choir guy. I used to be in choir in high school. It really kind of ground my gears to see the God is King album come out.
Yeah.
People acting like he is like this genius composer or whatever. And I'm like, there are black choir composers right now doing shit that's like ape shit on this. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, it was a good album, but there are people who are like into choir music. It's on the upper end of good. But if you're like really in that world, you're like, this is just pretty good, but there's some like mind-blowing shit outside of this. So I was like, I'm happy to see eyes on it, but people are like, Kanye fans are a different breed of like big riders, right? So, but they were like, this is historic. I was like, maybe historic for like modern music for this to be blowing up.
Yeah.
But like, let's not act like he fucking built this, you know? But
it's like, if you've never been exposed to the genre, then you're gonna be like, this is crazy. But it's like, it's a full genre of music.
Yeah. So anyways, enough Kanye slander for me. If you like him, you like him. And he does have bangers. Heartless, one of my favorite songs. Yep. But that's like older Kanye.
You should check out the Netflix documentary.
But I thought about that, but I was like, do I want... There's so much I have to watch. Like, you know me. I watch like a movie a day pretty much. And I'm like, I got to really decide what my watch right now is Prehistoric Planet. Okay. Which is nuts. Did you see the new David Cronenberg movie?
No.
Just came out. It's good shit, man. It's so good. And I'm like a Cronenberg mega fan. Like, my brother has seen like everything he's ever made and is like obsessed with him. I've only seen The Fly and The Dead Zone because it's Stephen King. But I was like, I'll watch this new because it stars Viggo Mortensen. So, like, even like, are you like seen the trailers, like all that or anything? Or
not really, no.
So it's called Crimes of the Future, and it stars Viggo Mortensen, Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, and him and his partner are. It takes place in like a future, but they don't say what year or where it takes place.
The not so distant future.
Yeah, and Kristen Stewart also is one of the leads in it, and it's a future where people can't feel pain and human bodies are kind of adjusting to the world around them. And they don't tell you much in the trailer, so I'm not going to say much either. Yeah. But basically, the premise is him and his partner are performance artists who do live sort of disembodyings of themselves because you can't feel pain.
Jesus.
And Viggo Mortensen just lays in this capsule while his wife uses this weird fucking contraption that has like claws and surgical tools on it. And the human body is changing, and the tagline for the movie is "Surgery is the new sex," which is really interesting. So it's just kind of about that world and how the modern world is kind of adjusting around that, and new organs being discovered in the human body and weird shit like that. Anyway, very good movie.
That's awesome.
But yeah, fucking.
Well, you sold me.
Yeah, so you should check it out. And both showings that I went to the showing opening night. Dead. No one in the theater. Completely fucking empty. Me and like two other couples. Always sad to see when you got a legend like David Cronenberg. Yeah. But and then I was gonna see it with Cody from Crownlands actually last night, but I got a headache and I had to cancel. But we were the only 2 people who had bought tickets, and I was like, people need to see this movie.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, sometimes great movies just don't do well.
Yeah, but that's how it always seems. And I used to have a kind of pretentious outlook on it, like, oh, people are dumb nowadays. They don't want to invest in true art. But it's like, no, it's just more fun to go see Avengers or Top Gun because it's straight up fun. It's just
yes,
straight
I
up
get
fun,
it. Yeah.
Whereas not everyone wants to sit down and have like these introspective thought pieces, right?
Yeah. You go to the movies a lot though.
Yeah, I see like 2 movies a week, pretty much, right?
Yeah, so there's not that maybe that's what it is because I'm kind of the same. Like I get out all the time, and it's like if you want to keep going, you do have to expand your taste, right?
Yeah.
And I love I like a lot of. There's a lot of big budget movies I don't like. Like I don't really like Marvel movies.
I am just recently coming around to Marvel, and I'm starting to really enjoy it for kind of for the reasons Scorsese said, actually. And people took that whole Scorsese thing way out of context. He was actually giving Marvel quite a compliment.
What did he say?
So there was a big, I can't believe you've never read this quote.
No.
It was a huge fucking scandal. If you ever see every week there's an article like so-and-so director says this about Marvel or whatever, right?
Sure.
Scorsese said Marvel movies aren't cinema. They're more akin to theme park rides, and they are there to give people, like, that's kind of the big thing is he said they're theme park rides, which people like Marvel fans were really upset by.
Yeah, but theme park rides are awesome.
And that's the thing. I thought that was a really apt comparison because they're not striving to do what a lot of more kind of grounded cinema is doing, where they're, now don't get me wrong, you can be emotionally attached to Marvel films and whatnot.
Yeah.
And people, you know, how can I say you're not? People cry and cheer and stuff.
And I'm definitely not saying they're all bad.
Yeah. But they are kind of cookie cutter and more or less the same, right? Like that. So, but that's okay because so are roller coasters. You go up, you go down, there's twists and there's turns. But I remember when I saw Endgame in theaters, I had a really unique experience. I saw that with a YouTuber called Ricky Berwick, who's really, really fucking popular. And he just lives in the area. And I sent him a DM. I was like, yo, I love your work. I'd love to shoot with you sometime for free. And he was like, you know what? Come see Endgame with me. We can do like a big Endgame spectacular and you can film it for me, right? Because he's disabled, right? And he's like kind of wheelchair bound. So he can't have like a professional like vlog going or anything like that. Because he doesn't have like a team or anything like that. And I was like, yo, I'd love to work with you, right? So we filmed this like big fun Avengers thing, and it was really goofy. And I guess he said to me, if you're in a motorized wheelchair, they'll pretty much let you film anywhere, so don't worry about it. They let us film in the fucking Cineplex lobby doing some obscenely goofy shit. They didn't say anything about it.
Oh, that's
the
hack.
They let us bring a fucking camera bag into a movie on a premiere night for Avengers. And people are going crazy. They're screaming. And I'm like, you know what? I see the appeal to this. I was like, even if the movie's like mid or not groundbreaking or whatever, this is so fucking fun. And then I found myself buying tickets for Spider-Man No Way Home opening night. And I was like, whoa, I'm on the dark side now, right? So I found myself buying those tickets for opening night. And then I saw Spider-Man opening night. People are going nuts. And people were talking room volume the whole movie.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my life, it didn't bother me because I was like, it doesn't fucking matter. I was like, this isn't like, I'm not emotionally locked in.
And you're not going to miss, the movie's not ruined for you if you miss one little second.
Exactly, right? So then Doctor Strange comes out, and I was like, I went by myself on opening night because I had so much fun in the last two Marvel's movies I had seen. And I was like, yeah, this is fucking awesome. I love this, and I'm accepting it for what it is now. Because there's no point in getting myself worked up about it being like, why the heck is Avengers the most highest grossing movie when The Last Duel was 40 times better? Yeah. Because The Last Duel is fucking boring unless you're into it, right?
For sure. And like, I'll never like hate on somebody for liking Marvel movies. I get it, dude. They're fun. Like you said, going down there and like, it's great. It's a cool atmosphere. It's fun. They're good. Like, especially if you're young or whatever too, man. If I was a kid, I would love Marvel movies.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think what my...
Is it weird to go to the movies by yourself? Because I do pretty often.
It's the superior way.
Right?
And it's not even close.
It's
not even close.
Last 2 movies I saw by myself that I went to the theaters for.
So, like, what do you see recently?
I saw the new Nicolas Cage movie.
Haven't seen it, actually. You know what I thought? I didn't see that because I saw the trailer. I was so intrigued by the premise of it.
Yeah.
And then I saw the trailers and I thought, you know what? this doesn't look fucking insane enough for me.
Man.
I was like, you got a guy like Nicolas Cage. It needs to be written, directed by Nicolas Cage.
That's my exact problem with the movie.
So yeah, so is that kind of like
that? Yeah. Well, I thought it was too tame.
Yeah.
Like they've got this big crazy story where it's like Nick Cage playing Nick Cage and he's got to like help out the FBI. Yeah. Like, it's like go wild, and it's Nick Cage, dude.
Yeah.
I read some stuff that like some COVID stuff kind of shut a few things down.
Okay.
Like there was supposed to be like a few more like people in it that like they had to change their schedules. Like Quentin Tarantino was supposed to be in it.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
And like there's supposed to be a big fight scene where it was like that didn't happen. So it seems like it was a little bit of a victim of itself.
Yeah, well, I remember watching it and I thought Nick Cage isn't really going insane in this trailer. And this is not the time to give a tame performance. No. Not at all. And you know what's interesting? The Crimes of the Future that I just saw was written in like 1998 or something like that. And it was called Painkillers originally. And it was written, and Cronenberg wanted Nicolas Cage to start it as Saul, the artist, in the movie. But then it went to Vigo, which was fine by me. Because he's one of the finest actors on the planet. But did you see Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Oh yeah.
So that's a movie like Nick Cage could have been something like
that. Definitely, man.
That would have been. Imagine like
it would have been funny if they.
Cageverse.
I was just gonna say if they went to
Multiverse of Madness,
one of the universes where like everybody's Nick Cage. Like it would be.
Yeah.
And then I saw Licorice Pizza.
I haven't seen it yet. Actually,
no, I'm a huge Paul Thomas Anderson fan.
I've only seen
Boogie Nights,
Punch Drunk Love.
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
So we'll get into your top 5 favorite movies.
I've been stressing about this all day.
But actually, you know what? Let me, since we're on the topic of film, I'll give you a kind of what I've seen recently.
Sure. You never seen Boogie Nights?
No. And my brother loves
Incredible,
it.
Yeah.
And did he make Big Lebowski too?
No, that was
Coen Brothers.
Yes,
Coen Brothers.
Yeah.
How could I be so stupid? You know why I thought that? Because Philip Seymour Hoffman is in it.
Yeah, and he's always
Paul Thomas Anderson. Right?
You never seen Magnolia?
No.
Oh, he's.
So I've got my loose ranking of 2022.
Okay.
I'll read it to you from bottom to top here. So, and if we find our way back to fashion discussion, we find our way back. And if we don't, we don't.
I'm just happy to jump around. This is great. Man.
So, it is from worst to best. Okay. Worst movie I've seen this year, Firestarter, the Stephen King adaptation.
Okay, yeah. I heard that wasn't.
And the whole time I was watching it, I just couldn't stop thinking to myself, how did the Duffer Brothers not get sued by Stephen King? Because Stranger Things is literally this. But then I've got the current Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Okay.
After this, nothing is actually bad. It's all quite good, actually. Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Jackass 4.5.
Man, loved it.
So 4.5 or 4?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
So did you like 4.5 more than 4?
No, I didn't like it more.
Yeah, I thought it was almost as good. Like,
yeah,
and my expectations were pretty low too because I thought there was gonna be some extras.
I could watch Jackass every day for the rest of my life.
Bro, when I saw 4 in theaters, I was nearly emotional at the end.
And
it's like I grew up with all these guys.
Had that Johnny Knoxville message, but thanks for seeing this in theaters. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, man. I loved it.
Yeah, so I've got 4.5. Then the Beatles Get Back rooftop concert.
Cool.
Then X, if you saw that.
Oh man, it's on my I have it downloaded, ready to go. Okay. I love A24, A24.
Yeah. I think most people say A24.
Okay.
Yeah, I
didn't want to embarrass myself on the podcast.
Them.
But that's anything they put out, I'll check.
Then we got Jackass Forever.
Yeah.
Then Top Gun Maverick.
God, I'm going to see that tomorrow or Monday.
Are you seeing it in IMAX?
I've got to.
Okay. And fucking nuts. Then we go to Batman.
Really good.
I could switch out Top Gun Maverick and Batman depending on the day, just because Batman is
oh wow, so Top Gun was that good, eh?
It was so much better than I was expecting.
Oh wow!
And I haven't even seen the first one either.
What?
I know, eh? So I was expecting just a decent action movie with nutty special effects.
Sure.
Right? That's why I went to see it. But I watched it and I found myself crying.
No, really?
Third act, and I was like, damn.
Really? I wonder if it's better than the first one because first one's cool.
Some people have said that. Some people have said that.
It wasn't emotional. It was a cheesy 80s action movie.
This is a legacy sequel.
Wow.
Done very well.
Wow, that's the best review I've
Yeah.
All right, I'm excited to see it. I just thought it was going to be a fun little.
And now we get into top 3. Okay.
Let's go. I'm pumped.
Number 3, Crimes of the Future. Okay.
Yeah.
Then number 2, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Awesome. Loved it.
I would talk about that, but I spent the last hour of the Tempest podcast talking about it. And then number 1 movie of the year. Do you have a guess?
I can't think of anything.
The Northman.
Oh, of course.
The Northman. Which have you seen?
I'm embarrassed.
Oh my god.
That's another one, man. I've got X and Northman like on my Plex ready to go.
It is because of you, Robert Eggers is never making another Hollywood film.
I meant to see it in theaters. Like, my buddy loved it.
I saw that with my D&D group. So that's like, I don't know if you know these guys, but like Carter, Bahari, and all that. So they're all friends with like Maverick and me and all that.
Oh, cool,
so
cool.
that sort of sphere of people. But and then Cody again. Cody's awesome. Cody's in our D&D group, but they have to leave all the time because of touring and stuff like that. But when they do come back, they have some crazy fucking woodwind instrument with them, and they're like, "Hey, I just got this made." So seeing the Northman with all of them was awesome, and we got lots of ideas for our D&D campaign. But yeah, the Northman was fucking nutty. But yeah, going to movies by yourself.
It's funny. We've seen a few opposite. Like, if we got a few that we've missed for each other.
Yeah.
Northman, I got it. And X. X is like my number 1 I'm trying to watch.
I will say I was a bit underwhelmed by X just because I just thought as I watched it, I was like, a slasher done by A24. I was expecting a bit more craziness and like creativity. Mm-hmm. It was almost a bit but like shockingly traditional for their tastes. I was like, oh, this is interesting. I was expecting someone to like some aspect ratio changes or something, or this or that. Or, actually, there is aspect ratio changes because there's stuff they shoot on the Super 8 camera.
Cool. Yeah, but I like, it's like, I really like the plot, the idea of like the old 80s slasher film kind of like in a new setting. It's
quite cool. It's really fucking awesome. And they've announced a prequel.
Oh, wow.
This is really interesting. So the girl who stars in the movie, you know what? I can't even say this for spoilers, but
appreciate it.
Anyways, it's like this. If I said it, it wouldn't even make sense. But it's interesting. They're doing a prequel, and the way some of the cast is like functioning that was in this movie will make your head be like, "That's quite interesting." But that'll make sense in time, I'm sure. But anyway, so they're making a prequel, which is really exciting. So there's an X cinematic universe now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice. No, I fucking take back that I said that. I hate people saying cinematic universes, but I do get the point.
I get it, yeah, sure.
But a lot of people don't know this, but one of the greatest interconnected, not cinematic, but literary universe, Stephen King, all of his books are all connected. So
it's like Tarantino.
Yeah.
That's the Pixar universe.
Much
Their cinematic
the
universe is like MCU, yeah.
Oh, you know what's gonna kill me though? They're making the Flashpoint movie from also that fucking arm there is the older one. This new one is like rock solid. I move it, nothing moves. That one, you got to kind of overcompensate a bit. If you move it up like an inch, it'll fall down like a half inch. But so Multiverse of Madness coming out and all that, and Spider-Man No Way Home and variants, that whole conversation. They're making the new Flash movie, which is a loose adaptation of the comic Flashpoint, which is where the Flash goes back in time, saves his mom from dying, and it has horrible effects across the multiverse. That's going to happen in the new Flash movie, and everyone's going to go, oh, DC's ripping off Marvel. And I'll be like, they did it in the Flashpoint comic, which is like the most universally beloved fucking multiverse comic book ever, but whatever. But
what's your favorite comic book adaptation across the board?
Batman Begins.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Over Dark Knight?
Certainly.
Really?
Certainly. It's not even, it is close, but I don't have to like think about it.
Really?
Ever. Yeah, and I'll tell you why. I
love Batman Begins, by
if
the
you
way.
watch The Dark Knight, there is no sense to me of atmosphere in that movie or vibe or geographical identity. Like if you watched Inception and The Dark Knight back to back, they could take place in the same city for all you know. And it's so clean and Christopher Nolan was like, I want to do a grounded Batman, which I need the next Batman movie that comes out to be so fucking apeshit and so off the wall, because people love to say Batman is this grounded character.
Yeah.
Wrong. Okay. I read comics weekly, if you didn't know, so I know what I'm talking about. The best example I have of this is in like 2014, I think it was. This was the first arc that wrapped up before I got into comics, so I don't know the names of the whole arc and all that. Batman, there's a panel of Batman sitting on a throne in space wearing the fucking White Lantern ring, and he has become the god of knowledge. Okay? A god of knowledge floating through space on a throne. If you're like, Batman's got to be grounded.
He's pretty chill. Yeah.
Maybe in year one, which is fine, but I want someone, which is why I loved Zack Snyder's vision for Batman. And the new Batman, the Robert Pattinson Batman that just came out, was supposed to star Ben Affleck and was originally written, directed, and starring Ben Affleck. And then Ben Affleck left the project as a director and writer, and they brought in Matt Reeves. Then Ben Affleck left as Batman entirely after the Justice League movie came out. And then they said, well, we can't even make it a fucking Justice League spinoff anymore. So fresh start again. And they made it Robert Pattinson, which I'm fine with because Robert Pattinson's a great actor. But if you look at Ben Affleck, like compared to comic panels of Batman, it's identical. Like he looks so much like the drawings come to life. And Batman in the comics currently is this like shredded, has this like bear-like physique. So I liked in Justice League that Batman was like fighting those fucking whatever things. Did you see the Zack Snyder Justice League movie?
Yep. Yeah, the director.
Yeah. So, the parademons, and I loved the nightmare sequences where Batman was like apocalyptic world, because that's more reflective of the Batman comic books currently, or I should say the Justice League comic books currently, because the way the DC Universe comics function right now, there's like Detective Comics, which is Batman pretty much in Gotham doing a grounded detective story. Then there's the Batman comics, which usually focus on Batman fighting like a supervillain or whatnot. And also the Detective Comics and Batman comics feature pretty much exclusively like Nightwing, Robin, spoiler, Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and like the Batman characters. And then Superman will pop in, or the Flash will pop in, or whatever, like once every like 30 issues or something like that. But then the Justice League comics, Batman's like in space working with the Green Lantern Corps or fighting aliens and whatnot. So they're, and it's
so
all part of the
you want to
same-
see a Justice League adaptation.
Yeah, just because so many people have done the grounded Batman.
Yeah.
And that's why it's almost refreshing to go back and watch like Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, because it's like such like an avant-garde like presentation of it. But going back to what I say, so the grounded Batman, I've become so like whatever about, and especially in the Dark Knight Rises and Dark Knight, there's no sense, any kind of semblance of Batman for me is like stripped away, and he's basically like a cop or like a SWAT, like a super cop type character. And it just feels too far removed for me. But I do love them. Don't get me wrong, they are like 10 out of 10 movies. I do love them.
Sure.
But Batman Begins, like there's so many moments on me where Batman is storming down the hallway and a swarm of bats like ejects from his fucking bat, and he calls in bats to fucking confuse the SWAT team or whoever. And there's a scene where he goes to I think the district is called the Belfry or Belfry, maybe perhaps. He goes and talks to this kid on like a balcony, and it's actually Joffrey from Game of Thrones, the little kid that he talks to. And it's like this disgusting like shanty town almost, where everything's made out of like shacks and like things like that, and there's like smoke plumes and pollution clouds everywhere. There's garbage all over the place. And even at the end of the movie, Scarecrow's the villain. There's a moment where Batman is riding a horse and he looks like this demonic fucking creature, and his face is like melting and stuff like that, and there's like gas clouds going everywhere. I was like, this is like right out of a comic book. This is so cool and gritty, and like gritty in the sense that people confuse gritty with realistic too, but like I mean like dirty, like disgusting. Sure. And it just had such an identity to Gotham, and I really felt it. And then same with Joker too. Garbage piling on the streets like 10 feet high, rats all over the place. And then in the Robert Pattinson Batman movie, that's the best Gotham we've seen in a movie fucking ever, right? Because they're blending elements. Like they shot it in UK, like in London and in Scotland. Like Batman will turn a corner and they'll be like, okay, this was shot in Chicago. Then he'll turn a different corner and be like, this street is now in Glasgow, Scotland. So they're taking
like they're creating Gotham.
Literally. And then there's a scene where he turns this corner or that square that he walks through on Halloween in the opening credits. It looks like Times Square almost. So like such an identity to it. So I just like Batman Begins because it has such a beautiful tone to it, and there's really a creative vision to it. But if you want to go on the more hipstery side of things, you could say like A History of Violence, which is also by David Cronenberg, actually.
The last movie to ever come out on VHS.
Really?
Fun fact for you.
Wow. So A History of Violence, people know that's based off a comic book. Or Old Boy by the Korean movie. Yeah. That's a comic book.
History of Violence is based off a comic?
Yeah. So people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Like,
so, yeah, you could go with those. Maybe I will say Old Boy, but like superhero adaptations, Batman Begins. Also, I don't love Man of Steel. I haven't watched it in a while, but the theme song for Man of Steel, so beautiful. And Superman's my favorite comic book character too. The go on YouTube, look up Man of Steel trailer 3, okay? The music in that and the dialogue is so beautiful. It's 10 times better than the actual movie. But it starts with this beautiful monologue from Clark's dad about how not Clark's dad, Kal-El's dad is about the same character, but Russell Crowe. He says, you'll give these people an ideal to strive towards. He says they'll follow you, they'll stumble and they'll fall, but they'll have you to like look up towards, and you're going to help humanity into the future and all that. Such a beautiful message. And then you got Hans Zimmer with that dun, 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 this beautiful building score. It's this elegant piano. It's just fucking beautiful. And then I could go on about the Man of Steel trailer 3 forever. Forever. Superman is like my favorite character, maybe ever. Oh, I could go on forever. But what are your favorite comic adaptations?
I like a lot of the early ones. Like I love some of the X-Men movies.
X2 specifically.
X2 is great. X2 is fantastic. I loved Logan. I thought Logan was incredible.
Yeah.
That was like you were saying about Batman Begins. That was really establishing a world and like really like his character and that. Plus he's Canadian.
Yeah.
Shout out Wolverine.
Yeah, I was just watching the new season of The Boys, which, you know what? You can make that argument too.
That show's is a new season.
The first 3 episodes dropped. I think this is going to be the best season yet.
My brother's an extra in it.
So is my mom.
Oh, no way.
But
what if they work together?
My mom just got a fucking insane acting job. I'm going to tell you about off camera, but it is...
Oh, congratulations.
Full-time, her first full-time job amazing, on a set. Man. It's nuts.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it's kind of a vintage type thing too.
Okay. Well,
but so she was on The Boys multiple times. She's on all 3 seasons. But this season, these first 3 episodes, I thought season 2 was pretty good. Not as good as the first. So I was kind of worried for season 3. Incredible. Perfect. But I think Carl Urban could be a great Wolverine when it comes time to cast him.
He would, yeah.
Because there's a scene where he yells right into the camera, and I was like,
okay,
it just hit me. But yeah, Logan is definitely up there.
Logan, I liked the first Iron Man.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed that one quite a bit. Like, was that
it was the first MCU
Marvel? Yeah.
But now I guess if you wanted to, you could call the X-Men, or the Spider-Man movies.
Oh yeah, true.
MCU adjacent now, and probably Fantastic Four they're going to tie in somehow because with all this multiverse stuff they connected it to the Sam Raimi verse and all that. But yeah, so I guess you could count those movies as MCU now, but they weren't made with that intention. Whereas Iron Man was the first with the intention of setting up the expanded thing.
I don't know if you consider it like an adaptation if it's a cartoon, but I loved Killing Joke.
That is such a controversial take.
Yeah.
Have you read the book?
Killing Joke?
So the things I hate about it are this.
You can only go so.
Well, they add this arc where Bruce Wayne hooks up with Batgirl, and I was like fuming over that because that doesn't happen in the book, and I don't mind things that are different from the book, but it was such a I don't know. It'd be to me like if what's a good example I could use here? I'm trying to think of an example that's like age appropriate, but like imagine if like in your favorite show like a father figure like hooked up with like one of like the younger innocent characters.
Yeah.
Like I watched that and I was like, I know Killing Joke is like the most edgy thing ever, like especially like the original book, but like the content of Joker already like violating Barbara Gordon and like displaying her photos for Jim, that's already fucking insane enough. You do not need to add Batman fucking Batgirl.
No.
At all.
The first time I ever put like
that's his best friend's daughter. That's his best friend's daughter, bro.
Yeah.
And Batman is... Oh, another thing I hate about Batman adaptations too. Batman and Superman are so close in their personalities, it's not even funny, and in their ethics and in their morals. Batman is literally just really shy and an introvert because of his dark backstory. So many moments of Batman in the comics. He carries fucking candy in his utility belt. I don't know like how actively you read the comics, but a few months ago in the comics, there's a flashback to young Clark Kent, or not young Clark Kent, young John Kent, Superman's son. He got pissed and flew off, and he went missing. They dispatched the Justice League to find him. Nightwing and Batman find him, and they pull out. Batman pulls out some candy from his fucking utility belt, and he's like, "I always carry this," and that's true because you see in other comics where he pulls out like food and treats and stuff for kids. But a great line Nightwing says, "I don't like that you keep your smoke bombs right next to your lollipop compartment." And then Superman says later on, he says, "Is that true?" And Nightwing just said, and Batman's like, "Yeah." He goes, "One day you're accidentally going to throw a piece of candy at the Joker." And I was like, that's such a funny line.
Or smoke bomb a kid.
Exactly. So I think that's actually what Batman says that back to him maybe. But funny enough, I edited together because I was so upset by the Killing Joke movie, a comic book accurate version.
Awesome.
That's like 30 minutes shorter, cuts out that entire first half of the movie. So if anyone wants that,
I think I prefer that.
Line. But I literally took there's even single camera shots I've taken out that I literally make it panel by panel accurate, and it was a really fun thing to do just during COVID. I was like, what's a fun little project I can do? But Killing Joke is up there. I guess you could say too the Into the Spider-Verse. That's not a direct adaptation of anything.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
But that's like top tier superhero movie.
Nicolas Cage again.
Yeah, they should do a live action. What's he? Spider-Man Noir? Is that his name?
Is that what? I don't want to.
I couldn't tell you. But yeah, that movie was so good. And oh my god, the second one got delayed by like a friggin' year just recently or something like that. But yeah, the thing is, it's a lot of good superhero content out there nowadays.
Do you ever think there's too much? No.
I think people. I don't know. What were you gonna say?
I was just saying that like there's just so many shows and stuff now with Disney, and
there is, but it's like
there's too much.
There's
of a
only
good
too
thing
much
ever.
of something if you're watching it, and I think a lot of people overanalyze like the whole sphere of like superhero movies. It's like, listen, here's what it comes down to: there are good movies and there are bad movies, and there are movies that are just okay. And you can make the argument all day long that, oh, they're factory produced, these superhero movies are all the same, it's like cookie cutter. It's like, yeah, it's true. Sometimes that cookie tastes better than others. Sure, you know?
Absolutely. Like,
I enjoyed Multiverse of Madness so much because Sam Raimi's handprints were all over that, and it was a really fun experience. And yeah, it was pretty simple. I could have predicted a lot of where it was going, but it was fun. And you know, so it's really, are there too many superhero movies? It's like, are there too many sports teams? You like what you like, you don't like what you don't like, I think is what it kind of comes down to. So, you know, I don't think so at all. If you want to watch them. But now that The Boys has come out, it seems like the new trend is superheroes but bad. And
anti-heroes.
They just adapted the show adapted a comic book called Jupiter's Legacy, which is pretty much the exact same thing as like superheroes in a hyper realistic setting. And it got canceled after one season because a lot of people were like, yeah, it's The Boys, but way worse. And I don't know if that's true because I never watched it. That's just what I heard. But you know what's actually on the topic of hyper real superheroes? I think The Boys is a really great way of how to do hyper real superheroes as opposed to The Dark Knight, because it's like, it's not even a superhero movie at that point. That's like a crime drama or a cop movie. But I mean, okay, I take it back a little bit because so is the Batman.
Oh yeah,
but that has like identity to it and such character and Fuck, why is your camera going in and out of focus here? It's odd. Sorry, but
no worries.
What was I saying?
The Boys.
The Boys is like superheroes on a hyper real, done while still preserving superheroes intact, right? Where I just feel in The Dark Knight we lose some of who Batman is. But don't get me wrong, I love the movies, but I hate Christian Bale's Batman voice. But, you know, I have, just as proof, because people are going to say, how can you not like The Dark Knight and all that? Okay, everyone, calm down. I got a list on my phone here.
I wouldn't say you said you didn't like. You said you also gave it a 10 out of 10.
Some people twist it that way. Okay, so here's my Batman movies ranked, okay? So, top 4, Batman Returns, The Dark Knight, The Batman, and Batman Begins. Also, Batman Hush, I think I would rate that higher upon a rewatch. Oh, you know what else I think would be great? Someone should do an Adam West style Batman movie next.
Oh,
it would be so different and still true to the character, just a different style of the character. Whereas it's Golden Age Batman instead of Bronze Age Batman.
Man, exactly. And it's like we were saying about how like people want to dress different than their parents. It's like, make the next Batman super campy, and then when you go back to the really dark, gritty, it'll hit again, right? Like you got to make like. The Batman was great, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But when I was watching at points, I did think it was very similar to like the Christian Bale series, where there was like, it was dark, it was like the same sort of gritty in that.
Yeah.
There's lots different. Like the character was way different. But I could see how people would think it was similar to the Dark Knight series.
Yeah. I think what I love about it though is so the Batman comics that run right now are called Batman, and the other one is called Detective Comics, because they focus on detective stories of who is doing what, right? And so this was like so true to the spirit of Batman, and it was a loose adaptation too of Batman Year One, Batman Long Halloween, and one other book. Matt Reeves said it was those 3 combined, which is so true. And for comic books are filled with ads still to this day. At the back of the comics for like months, they said pick up the books that inspired the hit movie The Batman, and it was Year One, the fucking one I just said.
Is Year One Frank Miller?
I think it is. But anyway, there's so much to choose from, and there's really something for everyone in the superhero genre. And I'm very grateful for the movie Joker. It's just such a shame that we get our best interpretation of the Joker in live action, in my opinion, and then we don't get to see him do anything Joker-ish. But I guess we don't need to see him do anything Joker-ish, because we know what he becomes. We know what he starts doing after that, right? Yeah. So, but apparently Joker 2 is in the works. Which that just sounds like a meme. Joker 2, like
more Joker.
Yeah, Joker. Yeah,
even Joker.
Yeah, but anyways, fucking. So here's some. Let's loop it back for a second here.
Let's do it.
But talk about fashion icons to you.
I'm gonna be so embarrassed when I get home and start thinking of so many more I forgot.
What do you think is a fashion, like a hot take you have?
I mean, I guess one is like, you don't have to spend a lot of money to look like a certain way, right? Like, you were talking about, I just forgot his name, the guy from Crownlands.
Yeah, Cody.
You're just talking about Cody. It's like a lot of the cool stuff he was saying he gets at the thrift store. Mm-hmm. Like, it really is like I think a lot of people like get tricked into marketing and stuff, right? Where it's like, oh, you have to spend, you got to get like designer clothes, you have to have like whatever. It's like, you can pull off cool looks, like spending not a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a hot take.
Wouldn't be the hottest take I've ever heard. But I don't know. It's definitely not ice cold.
I think socks and sandals are okay. I don't know.
Okay, see, that's a good one, because that is kind of a hot topic. Mm-hmm. I got into that when I played rep lacrosse. The uniform was the black Clarington Gales polo shirt, khaki shorts.
You were a goalie?
And that, yes. How'd you know that?
Done my research.
Oh, look at this guy. And then you have to wear mid-calf socks with sandals, and it was sick. Birkenstocks were like the unofficial footwear.
That was like you had to wear sandals?
Yeah, but I was a Nike slides kind of guy.
Hell yeah.
So I don't think they were called slides back then. People just said flip-flops or whatever. But yeah. It's funny how we come up with all these like words for things. Okay, so that's your fashion hot take. what is your favorite aspect to the outfit? And by aspect, I mean hat, shirt, vest, shorts, shoes, socks. What's like the thing you just that's what I just love?
I would say the shirt. Like I just love collecting like vintage tees and that. So I'll usually like pick out a shirt and then kind of like build an outfit around that. Yeah. And then it's like pants, hat, whatever.
Not on me, but when done right, I'm assuming everyone's at their best. My favorite thing is I love to see what kind of footwear people are going to break out. Yeah. Like I love shoes. And you know, okay, on the topic of shoes, friend of mine has these shoes. So his favorite designer is Rick Owens. Okay.
Cool.
I do quite like the Rick Owens stuff that I've seen, but he has these shoes that are not, Rick Owens makes a lot of crazy fucking shoes. These are very tame. They look near identical to Converse.
Yeah.
These, them I don't get, because it's like the other Rick Owens shoes, you look like you're in a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
These, I don't understand.
They look exactly like Converse.
Yeah, I don't get the artist intention behind them, where they're just a blockier, stripped down, minimalized version of Converse. So you know the shoes I'm referencing? I know
exactly the ones.
Thoughts on that? Where it's like,
it's funny. Mike, my partner at work, he wears them all the time. Like it's his favorite shoe. I mean, I think the Converse looks pretty badass. So like, it's a nice silhouette. It's I get what you're saying. Like I don't really see the need to go designer with it.
Yeah.
Like there's so many like Rick shoes you could get that are if you wanted that look.
Yeah.
Like it is like a Matrix kind of look or something like.
Yeah. And it might be because they're the more affordable side of the Rick Owens collection.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but that same friend too was really lucky. He got to through a connection with his friend who's like works with him or something like that, got to try on like a bunch of stuff of his. So I was really stoked to see that. But so shoes, when done on someone who really knows their stuff, I always love to see how someone's gonna work a shoe.
Yeah. And shoes can make or break an outfit too. Like
and I watch a lot of Drag Race, and that is like fashion. Well, that's like high fashion, right? There's like daywear fashion, and then there's like runway fashion. So now also it took me way too long to realize this. I did not accept for a while that runway fashion was not meant to be practical clothing. Often it can be and is.
Yes.
Like, you know, of course, someone like, you know, Kanye would wear it out on the day-to-day, or Julia Fox would wear it out just to go grocery shopping or whatever. But it took me so long to accept that, like, well, no, it's just art. Like, they're going full with the artistic envision of, like, concepts. They're not actually trying to be like, you should wear this every day. Right? So I don't know why it took me so long to realize that.
No, I totally get it. Because you see it, right? And it's presented as just clothing and fashion. And But yeah, it's, there's some wild stuff out there. Like, I don't know, man. That whole runway fashion and that, it gets so crazy where it's like, I just sell vintage tees. Like,
that's true.
All of a sudden, it's like you're missing half the shirt or whatever. And it's like, oh, that's $3,000. It's like, oh, you just put a rip in it.
Yeah. Now, it's kind of interesting because, like you said, I just sell vintage tees. You don't see yourself as someone who's like you were saying, who's like much into fashion necessarily, but like, do you find it like weird being like kind of in this in between of like the fashion world, but also you're just selling cool clothes?
Kind of. Like, I mean, I don't dress like terribly too. Like, it's like I say I'm not into fashion, but it's not like I just wear like sweatpants and like a wife beater every day or whatever. Yeah. Like, I'm not just like, I still like put some effort into it. And and then also like, I guess a lot of people that like we do business with and that we do deal with like a lot of fashionable people, and like I enjoy seeing like I like we still do feel like NBA players and that. Like I like seeing like their like the outfits they put together, like kind of like with money in that too, right? Like they have unlimited. They can take like, you know, Rick shoes and like make whatever out of the outfit. So it's cool to see them buy like a vintage tee and how they style it, and then I'll try and do like a poor version of that.
Yeah, I think if I had money, I would definitely go way more into the feminine side of it, because like makeup's expensive, especially it's very discouraging to try and learn, because it's like I'm spending all this money to basically fuck up a ton of times, but it's all part of the process of any art form, right? Like,
anything.
I forget who said it, but someone said, you know, when you get into art, your pencil has 1,000 bad drawings. You need to get out of it before you get into it. Well, it's a perfect analogy because it's like every time you draw, you're getting that bad drawing literally out of the pencil. It's such a clear, vivid image. So it's like
anything, man. Nobody starts like boxing and it goes for like a title fight.
Yeah,
right away.
Exactly.
No matter what, you're gonna suck when you start.
But if I was rich, I'd just hire a makeup artist and be like, make me look perfect.
Yes.
Professional wig glue and all that stuff. So yeah, I would probably lean more into that. And actually, you brought up like NBA players and stuff like that. You always see on the Vintage 905 Instagram really interesting people who are notable creators or musicians or artists or whatever, or athletes. How do they find out about you, or how do you get these like really noteworthy people popping into your shop, or is it literally just they Google vintage stores around me and it happens?
Man, we've gotten lucky. Like we've been blessed with some stuff. Like, sometimes we just reach out to people like if they buy vintage clothes or whatever.
Okay,
or
yeah, that's true.
Like some guys, like we had some random people like just follow us and then they'll just hit us up. Like, one of the first ones was, do you know the band Neck Deep?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
We have a pop punk band from the UK. Their guitar player is Matt West, and he's sick, man. I love Matt. Matt's such a good dude. But he, I don't even remember how. Like, one of us started following each other on Instagram, and just he was doing a thing where every day they were on tour for the 45 days or whatever. Every day he was wearing a different WWF tee.
Oh, that's
so I ended up just like I knew the band, but like I wasn't super familiar with their music at the time. So I was just like, dude, like, you're rocking a WWF tee every day? Like, that's sick. And he's like, man, like, wait till you see Tomorrow's kind of thing. And then, like, we just started chatting. And he's like, when I'm in Toronto, like, come through, like, bring a bag of stuff and, like, we'll shop it.
Yeah. And that was interesting because you brought, like, a lot of, like, select items to them, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. We do that every time those guys are in the city now.
Okay.
The best one, man, they opened up for Blink-182 the one year.
Oh, nice.
So we got to go, like, hang out there. Like, that was crazy. That was one of the most fun days of work.
Nice. The only time I've got, like, kind of in that area was through my work with Sea Shepherd. A lot of bands like Architects and Smashing Pumpkins are huge Sea Shepherd supporters. So they invite us out to sell merch at their shows, which is really interesting because it's like you're going to a Smashing Pumpkins show and Sea Shepherd is there just selling merch for their own brand. So that's really cool. I've never got to work any of those shows, but Smashing Pumpkins also did the theme song for our TV show, which is really interesting. So if you haven't, Sea Shepherd has a TV show called Whale Wars. That kind of documents our campaigns and stuff like that. But my phone died, so I might actually have to physically get up and check that camera.
Yeah.
But it's still going for a bit. But if you see me get up and
I'll just
go to the camera, keep it
rolling.
Oh,
absolutely.
We got 20 minutes still on this song. Yeah. So.
But yeah. No, we've just been super lucky, man. Like so many cool things have happened. We've like some people who I really like look up to and like just enjoy their music, or like it's crazy some of the people we've met just from opening a little store in Whitby.
Yeah, I love that though.
The like Flatbush Zombies was like a hip hop group I really, really like, and just reached out to one of the guys too because he was like this is years ago now, and he was like a big vintage tea collector kind of like before everything was going on. It's just like, man, like you're sick, like I'm coming to the show. He's like, do you want to like just bring a bunch of stuff for you? And he was like, yeah, come through.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So like, while he was getting his hair braided before the show, like we were just showing him tees. And I don't know if you ever heard of Flatbush Zombies?
Nope.
They're like a New York group. Like they're kind of like very like horror influence in that.
Okay.
So like you'd probably dig it. It's pretty cool. And the one guy's like a little bit scary almost. Mm-hmm. He was like we was showing him all the stuff. He was sick. He bought a bunch of stuff, like all kinds of really cool things. And then he's like, what's your name? He's like, I'm putting you on the list or whatever. Like, oh, like we already got tickets. He goes, you VIP now. I was like, all right, thank you, dude.
Nice.
And he's just like a growly kind of guy. Michi Darko, shout out Michi.
You're really in your like Howie from Uncut Gems arc right there. How all the rappers come through to his store.
Yeah, man. Like, dude, we're so lucky. We've got to meet so many cool people. Like, we got to send something to The Weeknd.
Oh yeah,
like it's just been nuts. So there's always cool things happening. We've got to like meet a bunch of basketball players, comedians, actors. Like it's nuts. And like,
well, if there's ever an Impact show in Toronto and I know any guys because getting to meet the wrestlers obviously is a very fun part of the job. But yeah, there aren't too many like fashion heads in there. There are some like sneakerheads though.
Okay.
But if anyone were like really into fashion, I will let them know.
Cool, man. Yeah, I'd love
we
that.
run out of Rebel nightclub when we do Toronto.
Man, I think that's so cool.
Arena, so
yeah. I never got to an Impact show, but like I wanted to when it was at Rebel. I thought that was they looked so good.
A lot of people think it's the best venue we run in modern day Impact. So, and I would agree. The Don Clough Arena is way too small. It's like the Battle Arts training facility.
Yeah.
Fucking
they do a good job with like with the lights and everything, and like like the kind of smoky looking. Yeah,
for sure.
Like they do a good job producing it.
It's interesting when you watch other companies run out of there. You really get out of it what you put into it for your presentation. Because I've seen some people run at Don Clough, and it's like they keep the house lights on, or they're not doing this, or not doing that. I'm like, guys, little changes. Well, and I'm a production guy, so I always notice these things. Little changes. And thank God a company called Savage Media has come on the scene. And me and a buddy of mine, Von Vertigo, have always thought like we should start shooting wrestling shows. Like if me and you shot a wrestling, because he's also in the media, I was like, if me and you shot a wrestling show, it would be the best looking show ever. And then so we were talking about like how we wanted to kind of do something like that. And then these guys, Savage Media, come on the scene, and they did the most genius fucking thing. They did a free week where they said, we've rented a studio space. Any wrestlers who want promo videos done or hype packages done, let us know. We'll shoot it for free. And I was like, these guys are crazy. They shot it. Beautiful footage. So
now everybody
just
wants to
this
go.
Summer, and they've made their money back on renting that space, like quadruple fold, I can imagine. But so now every wrestling promotion in Ontario, they all look awesome. Because one company now in Toronto,
I saw Greektown was using them.
Yeah, they are so brilliant and they're so fucking awesome. But I'm so happy with that. So yeah, Don Clough Arena can be great if you've done effectively, but Rebel is great. But I just went to my first Impact show in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Yeah,
and that was really cool. That was really fun, and to photograph Jay White. I'm not even gonna.
It's bad. That's a dope picture too.
Thank you, but like. Oh my god! So they're like, I've met a ton of people through wrestling, a lot of like legends, and I'm once I get there, I'm in work mode. I don't even process it until after, like, not until I was driving home did I really like take a breath and like think from a fan perspective. I was like, okay, a year ago, this guy put on my favorite match of all time against Kota Ibushi, and now I'm fucking like, whew, like that's fucking nice. And like you were saying about you just starting a shop in Whitby. And now you've got all this from it. I never went to university or anything like that. I just started taking pictures out of high school, and it's like just because I decided to do that, look what happened, right? So, and I always kind of bring that up on this show is that like I didn't go to post-secondary, and a lot of my guests did their own stuff, and I'm glad you did too, because that's kind of the theme of this whole fucking show is just be an artist and celebrate art and stuff like that. The Voros twins, those TikTokers, they were university dropouts. And they said, we just wanted to wrestle. We just knew. We were at a gym one day and we were like, what are we doing in university? This is not for us. Right?
It's for some people too, man. Like I don't want to shit on it too. Like,
well, if you're going, especially if you're going to an academic field.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, of course. But like entrepreneurial studies for me was like, I'd rather just start cracking on my business.
Yeah. And even when you watch like Kitchen Nightmares, for example, right? Gordon Ramsay will talk to someone and be like, how much restaurant owning experience do you have? And they're like, none, but I went to culinary school for 4 years. And Gordon's like, you went to culinary school for 4 years and your first choice is to open a restaurant? You're fucking insane, right? And they're like, well, what? That's what I went to culinary school. He's like, go work in the kitchen, be a chef, get the experience, right? And that's why I didn't start working for Impact the day after I fucking graduated high school. And that's why you had so many ups and downs in your shop, right? So,
and it takes time too, man. Like you're saying, you don't just start something and be great at it too.
Yeah. Just fucking, unless you're like Jade Cargill.
yeah, for sure. But she was also like,
her in-ring work has gotten insane.
And like she was an athlete too before. Like, it's not like she just like got off the couch one
so
day.
True. And that's so true.
She wasn't your average person starting. Like, even when she was green, she was freaky athletic.
Yeah, that's true. You know, like has a crazy fucking Jordan Grace. Her fucking build up. I was gonna say crazy.
Like come up. Like
I forget the words. I said crazy Grace, Jordan Grace. But anyway, crazy. But yeah, Jordan Grace too. Her physical transformation has been nuts, like crazy. She is probably the most jacked wrestler on the fucking roster, other than like I don't know anyone. Jordan Grace is so shredded, and she used to not be jacked like that, right? But seeing how far she's come too, so like,
well, it's like you said, she could make a believable run like for the Impact title,
literally. Like, and
I don't think anyone would question it.
And she was in, I don't know if she was in the men's Ultimate X, or was she?
I want to say yes.
She was definitely in the Knockouts Ultimate X, but I think she might have been in the men's Ultimate X at... No, because there was a women's Ultimate X at Slammiversary.
Have you always been an Impact fan?
Not until I started working there.
It's funny, man. I loved old TNA.
Yeah, we should talk about this.
I actually did. Like,
because I finally, I don't know fucking who I can talk about TNA with, but let me check this recording status here. But,
how are we looking?
Oh, we still got 12 minutes before I got to hit record again.
Beautiful.
This outfit I'm wearing goes crazy. I got the fucking dry fit shorts on, mismatched socks. Y'all want to talk about fashion? Look no further. But yeah. So coming up on our 20th anniversary at Impact.
I saw episode 1.
Yeah, we got some crazy shit coming up, man. So yeah. So you a big Impact fan, yeah?
I was. I was, man. I watched it when it came out. It came out weekly, but it was on pay-per-view.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Which is a wild
But they were only
concept.
like not a ton of money, right? Like
we had like one of those boxes that you got the pay-per-views on back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like I would watch them just because it was a new it was like another wrestling channel.
Yeah.
And like I was just obsessed with wrestling at the time.
As am I now.
I couldn't even imagine how old. I couldn't even tell you how old I was. Probably like in my teens or whatever. But just at that age where you're just like, I just couldn't get enough WWE, and there wasn't like internet now.
Yeah.
So it's like you couldn't really get more. And then there's a whole nother like promotion.
Yeah.
Just running like once a week. I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this every week. And I recognize a lot of the guys like from WCW and like. And then like I became a huge AJ Styles fan.
Well, I think the first
right
episode ever, like Razor Ramon was on it.
I want to say yeah, like man. And then I like they put a bunch of I'm sure you know a bunch of the like old pay-per-views on the YouTube channel. Full pay-per-views on the TNA. There's tons of them.
Yeah. No, but like I'm saying.
Oh, dude, like 06, 04. Like,
okay. So putting the recent pay-per-views on though.
Oh no, they put the old ones.
Oh, sorry,
like,
putting them on, but that happened just recently. Yeah, like.
They seem to be doing it pretty regularly, but like I'd say the last couple years.
Okay, so we just started, to my knowledge. I just want to make sure our timelines are thinking the same thing. Maybe 6 months ago, started releasing. We called it TNA Tuesdays.
Okay,
and this is a marketing strategy to celebrate our 20th anniversary. We thought, what better way to celebrate our 20th anniversary? Every Tuesday we stream it live first. So you can watch in the chat live, and we'll play the old pay-per-view back, and then you can just go back and watch it. And then also we have Impact Insiders, which is like Impact Plus, but on YouTube only. So you pay like a flat rate, and you can go back and watch our entire catalog of pay-per-views instead of waiting for us to upload them on TNA Tuesday. They're already up there. We just re-release them publicly for free. So yeah, now they're all up on YouTube for free in full. And if you saw these on YouTube earlier, they're in better quality now on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, like if you want to run them in the shop. So much good content. That's what I do. I'll throw them on there and just leave them running all day. Or I don't know. I watch them at home sometimes too. Like
yeah,
it was a cool era. Like there's I was watching like Samoa Joe versus like AJ Styles back in the day, and like it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. I'm hoping for the 20th anniversary we bring back the 6-sided ring.
Oh yeah.
Now I have literally no info on this. They just sent me the footage and I just cut it together.
Yeah.
But I would fucking love to see the 6-sided ring come back. We're doing an Ultimate X at Slammiversary, right? So I think it would be so sick if we like did something like that. Could be cool. But
did you do the edit where it was the old like TNA intro with all the guys? That was sick.
So the one that's just in this week, right?
Yeah.
So so my job is I don't edit the like the promo packages or whatnot. They edit the whole episode and all the assets and stuff like that. Then they send it to me. I then re-edit to be cut for streaming services or linear services or to put on basically. So I'm a digital producer. So they cut the television version, send it to me, and then I reformat it and re-export with all these settings. And then I also cut the highlights for our YouTube channel, and I sort of curate best of content and work with a third-party team for our YouTube channel. That's kind of what I do. But no, that was so sick how we did the old really cool throwback intro. But yeah, and I like how we randomly had Kazarian on last week. We did Frankie Kazarian versus Chris Sabin, I think. Like, who saw that coming? Like, that was fucking awesome.
Bet you, but it was a banger.
Yeah. So Chris Sabin, maybe one of the all-time best ever.
Oh yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, I fucking love Chris Sabin. These glasses are so crazy, man. So I can't believe the detail.
Yeah.
But the story how I realized I needed these were I was seeing a play and I said to my mom, I was like, it's kind of unfortunate that like from this distance things starts to kind of blur out, you know? She's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, you know, like when you're sitting this far back, you lose some of the detail in the set and like, you know, they put so much work into it. And she's like,
no, you
just
don't.
out of curiosity, try on my glasses. I'm like, oh, okay. And I put them on and I was like,
that's what it's supposed to look like.
I was like, y'all been living like this. I couldn't believe it. But around this time last year, I started to say to my dad, I think my vision's going because I work all day full time in front of a computer now, staring at pixels, you know, a foot and a half from my face. Mm-hmm. My dad said, oh, maybe it's just because it's your eyes need time to readjust. I said, I don't know. Things are looking a bit off. And then I never really thought of it ever again. And then until the other day, and then I got this prescription, and now it's like crazy. I can see like the definition in things, and like it's nuts. It's nuts. But
it's like that scene in Spider-Man. Except you don't need it.
Yeah. When he looks in the mirror. But anyway, Chris Sabin, very cool guy. Big Lord of the Rings fan too. I was shooting some content with him when he was in Toronto, and I was wearing a Lord of the Rings necklace. And he said, is that the Aragorn necklace from Lord of the Rings? And I was like, yes, it is, Chris Sabin. Yes, it is. And he was like, oh, my shirt is a map of Michigan, but like Tolkien style. I was like, well, I got a fucking full body tattoo of Lord of the Rings. And then, so we had all these fucking things to bond over. And it got weird. My first time meeting Chris Sabin, I took off my shirt to show him a tattoo. But anyway.
Not many people can say that.
Yeah. Very cool and a very nice guy too. A lot of wrestlers, like I was saying, are very shy and are very to themselves and timid and stuff. Like I feel we're bad for Brock Lesnar because he gets kind of a bad rap as being this like hard edge kind of guy. But then when he was on the Stone Cold podcast, he was like, I just like to come in, do my work, go home, sit on my ranch, and that's it.
Oh man, well he lives in like rural Saskatchewan because he's like Saskatoon was like too busy for me kind of thing. He's like half an hour outside of Saskatoon.
Well, you know, as a friend of mine lives in the UK and he doesn't like kind of like everyday interaction with people and stuff like that. And so he moved to Panama and he lived at the end of a dirt road that was 30 minutes at the end of this road. The streets kind of ended. And then, so he would drive the extra 30 minutes down to nothingness, and then his house was right at the end. And he said, somehow I'm still getting mail. People are knocking on my door. Government people stopping by, asking me to fill out a census, or I'm getting mail deliveries I don't want. And he said, so I said, fuck it. And then now he lives alone on an island. And what he did was he took his boat out to this island, and he hiked around the whole island. And at the very top of the island, it kind of flattened out a bit. And he said, I bet you could build a house here. And then he got in contact with the government. He said, I want to buy like 1 acre, not even an acre, like just a little block of this land on this island. And he was like, he knew because the island is like kind of in the middle. It's an island, right? Yeah. In the middle of the coastline of Panama. He could essentially have the island to himself, but only pay for the little land he was going to build on. So he bought this piece of land and then boated over all the building materials. And then for a year, he just built it. And now anytime he wants to build more, he'll just buy more land. And then he'll put like a little guest house or something like that. Cool. So it's a big island too. Whole thing to himself. And he just scuba dives every day.
That's so badass.
And that's all he does. He's a scuba dive instructor. So, and he said, I like people that I like, and I don't like people that I don't like. And so I met him through Sea Shepherd, and then he invited me to come hang out on his island once, and it was like the greatest honor of my life because he's such a fucking introvert, right?
So you know that, you're in these good books.
Yeah, and he was like, hey, I'm having some people over to come do a scuba trip. You want to come? And I was like, yeah, I do want to come, actually, if you can believe that. But anyway, so Chris Sabin's a very fucking nice guy. But do you have any favorite matches from the golden era of TNA?
Oh, yeah, any of those like Ultimate X matches, they were just the X division was so stacked back in the day.
If you go on Impact Plus, we have a every Ultimate X match playlist that I put together and edited.
But man, I love it. Like I even like some of like the cheesy stuff, like like I liked Hulk Hogan as a kid. Like I liked seeing him come back to TNA, and like I get it now. It wasn't great, but like then I was like, whoa, like they're gonna take down WWE. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy too. You know what? On the topic of cheesy stuff, Shark Boy.
Man, I loved Shark Boy.
You know he's on Impact now, eh?
Yeah, I did. I loved his run with New Jack.
What a sentence! Eh?
That was they were such
Shark
a funny
Boy
like
New Jack.
that was some perfect like cheesy comedy.
So the last video I was just editing, Shark Boy is in the hospital, and I didn't know that Shark Boy had a Steve Austin gimmick.
Yeah. Oh man, I know. Yes.
So because I never heard his voice before, I just seen him come in this shark outfit, and I never processed the jacket.
This is so funny.
And so I'm editing this episode, and Shark Boy is in a hospital, except they just filmed it in like an aquarium. So he's like laying in front of this big glass tank with sharks swimming by, and his family comes to visit, and they've all got shark masks on. And I didn't know that he did this fucking Stone Cold voice. I was fucking so confused. Oh I loved it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Like I love some of that stuff.
And it's crazy too how wrestling can go from that to like the most beautiful, introspective, fucking like heart-wrenching story, and then be like, okay, now here's Curry Man.
Well, Curry Man. It's like movies, right? Like sometimes you want that hard-hitting, dramatic, and then sometimes you just want to turn your brain off and have fun. Like I think good wrestling does all that.
Yeah, and it's crazy how they can find the balance and tone to be able to do it from segment to segment, not even episode to episode. Like you literally have Shark Boy, and then cut to commercial, you're back, and it's like, okay, now it's Motor City Machine Guns gunning for the titles, and it's like, oh damn. Mm-hmm. But Alex Shelley back in the picture, having some match of the year with Mike Bailey. I cannot wait for Mike Bailey to be on this fucking show.
That's gonna be great. I mean, he's awesome.
Yeah, just got married too.
Yep.
So congrats to Mike Bailey. But anyway, I'm gonna hit record on this camera. It's probably coming to the end of its life here. This will be our final little segment. Oh, look at my timing. 29 minutes.
I love it.
Seconds left.
You're a professional.
You just developed that sixth sense. So what time you got there on your phone?
It's about 10:30.
Oh, 10:30. Holy cow. Okay, so yeah, we won't go much longer.
Cool.
30 minutes max.
Beauty.
So, okay, I had 2 questions, rapid fire, that I wanted to get into. I forgot them, but I'm going to make them up now.
I love it.
Favorite wrestlers?
Favorite wrestlers, like all time?
Yeah.
Rob Van Dam.
Let's go. Great option.
Bret Hart, of course.
Okay. I was never a huge Bret Hart guy.
Oh, dude, I love Bret. I think I'm a little older than you.
How old are you?
32.
Oh, how old do you think I am?
26.
This guy's got no idea.
How old are you?
21.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, you got your whole life ahead of you, young buck.
And you know what's funny too? I usually have a bit of a beard going kind of like you. Well, it depends on the day really. But I'm pretty consistently had a beard like that. And everyone thought I was like 25, 26.
Oh, man.
Right?
Yeah, you're...
Yeah, and all my friends too are like 25, 26.
Yeah. Like I knew,
Yeah. So.
Well, damn, that just threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
But like when I was really young, it was like the Bret Hart, like he'd get booed everywhere, and then he would come to Canada.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, I just got brainwashed by it.
So think about this: the first wrestling I ever watched in my life was WrestleMania 23.
Oh,
so like that's how young I am. WrestleMania 23 was my first show I ever saw.
Man, yeah, I went to WrestleMania 18.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
How old have you been, man?
I was in 8th grade.
Wow.
Yeah, Hogan versus The Rock, dude. Craziest thing.
Where was that? Was Toronto?
Skydome, yeah.
Whew. Yeah. How don't they run this Skydome?
Man, I know.
No
incredible, but it was insane. It was literally like a 12-year-old kid or whatever. It's like the best day you could have in your life, ever. And Hogan versus The Rock is like still one of the greatest WrestleMania matches, just because of the crowd and everything too.
Yeah, I think probably the coolest wrestling one I've seen live, Bray Wyatt's debut as The Fiend.
Oh, cool.
At SummerSlam was nutty.
I was at that.
Yeah, I went to TakeOver, Slam, and then Raw and SmackDown.
I did 3 of the 4. Actually, we met Flatbush Zombies. They were here for a concert Monday.
Okay.
And so we got to meet Joey Badass, like a bunch of
okay, nice.
It was sick. You ever seen?
Now that's a name I do know.
You know Mr. Robot?
I know the show. I haven't watched.
So he's in it.
Okay.
And like there was a new season coming out. And we were hanging. Like he's pretty pretty high up there, guys. So like a little nervous, you know. He's chilling, like looking at stuff or making small talk. Or whatever. I was like, what happens in the next season of Mr. Robot? And then he's like, oh shit, like
it's so hard not to ask my mom what happens in The Boys. Oh, even though there's comics and they've deviated so much from the comics, but like, you know what? See, my mom. So are you caught up on The Boys other than the
third season? Yeah,
my mom was in the scene where they're at that hearing and everyone's heads start blowing up.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, my mom came home and she was like, crazy state where I was covered in blood. And I was like, what? And I hadn't watched The Boys at this time. I was like, what scene was this? Or like, what is this show?
Yeah.
She's like, it's a superhero show, but like, I was beside this woman and her head blew up and they had to cover me in blood. And I was like,
is that how you heard about it? Like, is that how you learned about the show through your mom?
Yeah. Because she was telling me about like this guy, Homelander, making this speech. And then she was at she was at the track when A-Train raced Shockwave.
Oh, sick!
And I'm like, this sounds kind of cool.
That show is really good.
Yeah, and I go to Toronto Symphony Orchestra a lot, and they shoot that. Vought Tower is Roy Thompson Hall.
Okay.
And the interiors are as well. So you go in for the orchestra, and you've just got fucking Vought Tower all around you, and it's so cool.
That's cool.
But so Bret Hart,
RVD, always Jeff Hardy.
Yes, now that's
man. So when we went to WrestleMania, me and my brother both dressed up as Jeff Hardy.
Nice.
There was no Matt. Sorry, Matt. I think Matt's the man now, but as a kid, like,
you know what? Growing up is realizing that Matt is actually 100% awesome.
100%.
Yeah. Now I still like Jeff a bit more.
Of course.
But there was an era there where I was really into Matt because I was like, I love everything he's doing. Man. He's really reinventing himself so much.
The V1?
Yeah.
Matt at V1. Like he has been great at reinventing himself. Yeah. Jeff's just been a badass the whole way through.
Yeah. I think like the king of reinvention is Jericho.
He's a wizard.
But yeah. And like that new, like the wizard thing is like, he fucking comes up with this shit and you're like, it shouldn't, like stuff that he says shouldn't work.
Definitely.
But it does. Like when I saw the Jericho Appreciation Society, I was like, what the fuck is this? Next week, I was like, this is kind of awesome.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, he's like another guy who's on like my GOAT list.
And you know what's funny too is Daniel Garcia was like this fucking pure pro and everyone loved him. And
I saw him wrestle in Toronto.
Yeah, okay. So then when he joined Jericho Appreciation Society, it was like, no. And then his perfect delivery when he says, if Chris Jericho is a professional or a sports entertainer, then I am too. I was like, what a heel turn. Fucking crazy. Man.
I love the 2.0 guys.
Yeah.
Like I really like when they do like the intro for 12 weeks.
Yeah. And you know what's funny too is when they got like Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan, stuff like that, Tony Khan really worked actually hard to put over 2.0 in the post scrum or whatever. They were like, you got all these top guys like Chris Jericho, Adam Cole, and they name all like the like who you'd expect.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's it like having all these top level NXT guys coming over and how are you going to adjust for that? And then Tony Khan's like, you didn't say 2.0. You don't think 2.0 are top guys? And the guy's like, oh no, I do. Which clearly he didn't.
Sure.
Right?
I love 2.0. They're not Chris Jericho and Hangman Page.
And Tony Khan was like, let me get something clear right now. 2.0, I invest in them. They are top guys. They are so cool. I
love Tony, man.
I love him. And then he randomly went on that like fucking tangent about CM Punk being like the biggest draw ever. He's like smacking the table.
The memes are so funny of CM Punk just...
Yeah, Tony Khan is
just
so
like when it's like when your boy's hyping you up at the bar or whatever. He's
like a little creature, man. I love him.
Man, the MJF tweet. Did you see that, Tony?
Which one?
Where he was saying like
I saw the promo he did.
No, but he just did like he put out a thing about after Punk got hurt.
Oh, okay.
You didn't see that? No. It's pretty funny, man. There's like a picture of a guy in like a cast with like the CM Punk logo in that. Oh. He's like, Tony, you goddamn nerd. He's like, you're just playing with your broken toys that nobody else wants. And like, it was just vicious.
Man, except fucking MJF getting carried off in that stretcher and they put on the fucking mask.
He's so good, man. But everything he does. I heard a thing. I don't know if this is still true, but on Cameo, the highest thing for a wrestler used to be like $500 for Ric Flair. So he charged $501.
Yeah, fucking hilarious, man. I do remember some of my questions I was gonna ask you. My second to last question before we get into the big one. Okay, crazy stories you have about your time working in a casino. Or if you have any at all.
Any of the crazy ones are kind of like sad. There was a lot of like addiction.
That's true.
Like that was part of the reason I left. Was like I loved working there like 90% of the time.
Which casino did you work at?
I worked at Thousand Islands. It's out in Canada.
Oh, okay. I just went to a casino for the first time to see Ringo Starr at Casino Ringo. So.
So you'd see like most times it was just fun, right? Like people just be in for the night. But then there'd be times where like I would go. You work weird hours, so like I would work like overnight, and then like come back the next day, and like somebody would still be at the table.
Yeah,
and it's like, dude, like you gotta, and like you're not allowed to tell them anything too. It's like up to the pit bosses and that to like tell them to go. And then there's like people who take bad losses, and then like
yeah.
So, just there was so much crazy shit, but it was just like day to day. Like it didn't even really seem weird. Yeah. Like, there was a guy who would come and he was betting like, I don't know, $500 a hand or whatever. Like he got like a private table and that, and then like we go back to the break room or whatever. And one of the guys like, you know what that guy does? It's like, I don't know, like drug dealer. Like I don't know. Like he's got a ton of cash. Like he works at the En Route Pizza.
Oh my!
So it's like he's just going into debt right now. Like like it's like I assumed he had a ton of dough or whatever. It's just a guy was like, I guess just blowing through his money. So like you'd see stuff and it was like, oh, that's crazy, or like just seeing like just some people are rich too. Just seeing somebody bet like $10,000 on a hand or something. It's like, holy shit.
The only thing I ever do at the casino is roulette. That's it.
Yeah.
The only thing I do, because it's safe enough where if I take an L, I'm not like, I don't feel like the odds were against me or anything like that. Now, obviously, if you're betting on a solid number, but even if I am betting on a single number, I'm fine with it, because one in fucking whatever it would be for a roulette table is still so much better than your odds for like a slot machine or something. Like that,
yeah.
Right. And even
1 to 36 is a lot better than
and
1
you can
in a billion.
You can pick. There's choice in what you do, right?
Yep.
You can pick the number, you choose your number and all that. You know what's fucked up too? So everything in my life roots back to Stephen King's Dark Tower. 2 very important numbers in the Dark Tower: 19 being the most important number, and then Black 13 being the evil number. So I'm at the casino with my dad, and I'm like, okay, if you were just betting solid color just for fun, we got $100 to waste, right? Do the solid color, but also bet on red 19 every time just for fun, because it's Dark Tower, right? Does it. The reds hit, the 19s don't hit, whatever. And we hit red like every time, right? Because I don't know what it is, me and my dad, we just pick red and go with it. Never change, never deviate ever. And it always works for us. And then for our last play, we're like, okay, let's take it off 19. And of course it hits 19, right? So I'm like, nice. So we take it off, and then immediately hits 19. Then I'm like, do one. So that was like my dad's money. And then I'm like, okay, I'll do some with my own money, right? I'm trying to think in my head, what is the fucking evil black, like Palantirs in fantasy, like the little like seeing orbs, right?
Okay, yeah.
I'm like, so in Dark Tower, it's called Maryland's Rainbow, and there are all these orbs that are different colors, and they all have associated like numbers. And I was like, what is the evil black one called again? I should bet that just for fun, right? And there is not going to spoiler territory, but like in the Dark Tower Stephen King universe, it is implied that like the tower is like a real thing that affects like our living universe, right? And I was like, oh, just for the fun superstition of it, like, but I couldn't remember the fucking thing. I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll just bet on red. It lands on Black 13, and I'm like,
that's it.
That's the fucking number. So isn't that crazy?
That is the way it would work too, man. The bad luck one for sure.
So
the time you don't bet.
It's such a taunt, and I'm like, oh my fucking god. But anyway, here it comes. What is your favorite movie? And if you don't have one, you can narrow it down to, what are some movies you just really, really love? And actually, before I get into that, you sell wrestling tapes at the store, right? Yeah. Do you sell other VHSs?
Yeah.
Do you find those sell well?
They do pretty good. It's like a small group of people who buy them.
Yeah. Have you ever considered selling like old wrestling books or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay, because I see Mick Foley's autobiography everywhere at every thrift store. Might be nice to have in the shop.
Yeah.
It's just an idea.
For sure. I do see those a lot.
Yeah, and I've got like the Jericho. He released a ton of them.
Yeah. I think he's got like 4 or 5 books now.
Yeah. But anyway, movies.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Man, I've been stressed out thinking about this question. Because I know it's such a lame answer, but I have so many movies like I enjoy.
Yep.
And like I was really thinking about it today, and it's like I love Home Alone. But it's like
that is a pick.
You know what I mean? But it's like I don't know if that like would make my top 5. But there's some days where like that's my favorite movie.
You know what though? The Toronto Symphony Orchestra, they just did Home Alone with the soundtrack performed live.
Wow. That soundtrack's incredible.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I had to like pick one movie, I'd say probably my favorite movie is Goodfellas. And, And R.I.P. Ray.
Yeah,
just lost a legend. Like he's
relatively
so
young-ish too.
Yeah, I think
like
they said 67 right? or something. Yeah, it's tragic, man. He's in so many good movies too.
Really makes you think.
Yeah, so I'm halfway there. I love Good Time. We talked about that earlier.
That is in my top of all time.
Actually. I really like. I was trying to make a little list, and I had that in my 5. I was thinking because I love Uncut Gems, but like I think Good Time's just a little more raw. And you know what? Put Adam Sandler Uncut Gems down as one of my fashion icons.
You know what I was thinking? Robert Pattinson's looks in Good Time are really interesting and really unique. His fucking giant oversized coat.
Man, he dresses like how he's very. It'd be very stylish today.
Yeah,
like
absolutely. Even with the blonde hair too.
It also bugs me too. It's like he's just a super good looking guy.
Yeah,
it's like oh, like look at how rough and tough I am, and it's like he looks like perfect with it.
Yeah, what a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's like like I'm barely scraping by. It's like you're Robert Pattinson.
And fucking, I remember when Uncut Gems was coming out, they released a behind the scenes photo of Adam Sandler in the yellow polo with the black collar.
Exactly what I was thinking, with the Hermes belt.
And he's got the rings too.
He looks so sick.
Everyone saw that photo who wasn't really following the production of the movie, and they were like,
that's what did it for me.
Is this?
I was like, what are they making where he's dressing like this?
Yeah, and I remember they said that when that movie Adam Sandler didn't want to be involved, they considered Jonah Hill actually.
Oh, that would have. I could see that.
Yeah, especially when you look at his performance as
Wolf of Wall Street.
What's that? Donnie.
Donnie Azoff. That's an incredible movie.
Yeah, and I think they both wear prosthetic teeth in Uncut Gems, and Donnie Azoff wears fake teeth.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it might have been too close to that character, but like that shows he could have played it for sure.
And so when I saw that at TIFF, that was fucking nuts. I've never seen such a respectful crowd. Dead silence. And then at the end, when Arno's mercenaries come out of that lockbox, everyone in the theater just went and like it was such a gasp. But because it's all an audience of pure movie lovers, like people who like respect the art tenfold, like they gasped and immediately silenced themselves. I never a sound like it. It was like a perfect crescendo and then a dead silence. It's a weird scene too, because the soundtrack is this odd like twinkling of synth.
I love the soundtrack to it.
Yeah, but whoa, what a movie!
Yes,
what a picture.
I'd have to put like some kind of Tarantino movie in there. Yeah, either Kill Bill or Pulp Fiction.
You know what's funny? I'm a little bit of a Pulp Fiction not hater, but like it's at like the bottom of my. I do. It's at the bottom of my Tarantino list because I watch it and I'm like. I understand how it kind of set the tone for 90s dialogue, and everyone was like, oh, we can make movies where our characters are like talking so almost poetically, and like that's really interesting. I understand what it did for like the culture of cinema and stuff like that, and like that's good and all, but I watch it now and I'm like, I'm not blown away by the innovativeness of a nonlinear story. And
I see,
I just watch it and I'm like, it's just a pretty good crime movie. Like, it's awesome. The dialogue.
I think a lot of the performances are really good.
Yeah.
Like, Christopher Walken's only in it for like 5 minutes, and like you can remember his part.
Yeah. And he's in Dune 2. Did you see that? Holy fuck.
I missed it in theaters, and like, I really want to watch it somewhere with like a good surround sound.
Oh, so you haven't seen the movie yet? I got the 4K HDR Blu-ray, and I got a very large TV and soundbar. So you just let me know.
Okay, sick. Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Like I don't really have a good setup at home.
Yeah.
So it's like,
if my fucking house was cleaner, I'd invite you. But my basement is a fucking disaster.
We'll do it sometime for sure. I'd love to catch it.
You would love my home. You come into my basement, it's exactly what you'd think. I've got wrestling posters everywhere, signed Will Ospreay portrait, and then my dad, Godzilla mega fan, Godzilla action figures everywhere, and my dad's an artist too, so he's got paintings and shit like that. We got comic book statues everywhere. It's your vibe for sure.
I love it, man.
You know what? Actually, I always thought this would be a cool thing to have in your shop. We have a giant 1/1 scale replica of a chest burster from Alien, or no, a face hugger, and it's like it's fucking hand span is like that long, and there's wires so you can pose it. Oh my
god, that's so sick.
It's so cool. But yeah, Pulp Fiction never really did it for me. But I like Django because I like what it did for did for westerns, because I was like, it's a western, but they have rap music in it.
Yes,
and it's still.
There's a great scene. Sorry to cut you off with the soundtrack where the Rick Ross song comes in.
That's exactly what I'm thinking about. I think my favorite is when
it was perfectly done.
What's the fucking guy's name at the end of the movie? Where he has the big shootout. I I don't remember the fucking musician's name, but it's when he has a shootout in Candyland, and he ends up getting caught. But that scene is so fucking nutty. I just love it. But I really like the use of music in that movie. And
well, that's always kind of been a Tarantino thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think just seeing a Western that was true to a Western, but had modern elements, where a lot of modern Westerns do a lot of very modern things in their script writing, where it doesn't feel like a true Western, but Django did while feeling innovative. And
you know what? I think Pulp Fiction was kind of just like the safe pick. I don't think it's my favorite Tarantino movie. Like, I love Kill Bill. I really like
James Brown.
Oh, of course. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah. Unchained, Payback, Untouchable is the name of the track.
That was a really good soundtrack, actually.
Yeah, I bought it for my dad on CD.
Sick.
And then also, I've Got a Name. Such a beautiful song. Such a beautiful montage when he's training. And,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oof.
Yeah, great movie.
I said this in the last podcast with Tempest, but, or no, maybe it was a Sway Archer one. Favorite use of music, maybe in any Tarantino movie, is when Friedrich Zoller, I think his name is, and the girl are in the projection booth, and then she's just done with him, and then they fall to the ground in slow motion, and that beautiful string music is playing. But you know, it's the craziest take I have. Hateful Eight is like my favorite Tarantino movie.
That was coming out of my mouth when I was going to say, like, I love Kill Bill. Hey, I thought Hateful Eight was incredible. I think it, like, I don't know about better than Pulp Fiction. So hard. It's when you start talking better, it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so subjective. And that
changes day to day.
Exactly.
Too. Like,
exactly.
What makes this good? What makes that good? But
yeah, and like I watch a movie pretty much every day. I'm kind of like you. Like,
yeah.
Like I just watched Love and Mercy. You ever seen that?
No.
It's about Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys.
Oh, does it star Riddler?
Paul Dano, exactly.
Yes.
That's why I've been on a Paul Dano kick.
I've seen some scenes. The scene that when he's composing Good Vibrations.
Incredible.
You don't realize how many elements go into that song.
Yep.
Until you consciously listen to it. And then I remember watching
I've been on a big
scene,
Beach Boys kick.
And I was like, there's cello in this song? And then I listened to it and I was like, I was like, there is cello in this song.
And then when you see how crazy he got about like making everybody play it perfect.
Fucking
and, like, it was
crazy. Like,
John Cusack plays older Brian Wilson in it too.
He's in a very good movie called 1408. Based off the Stephen King short story.
Is 1408 a room?
Yes. I think it's better. Not the movie. The movie is not better than The Shining. But I think the book is. The book's only 50 pages. It's about a guy who is he's a paranormal investigator who doesn't believe in ghosts. And he goes to... He has a book series called 10 Nights in 10 Haunted Blanks. 10 haunted castles, 10 haunted homes, 10 haunted offices. But he doesn't believe in it. And he tries to like debunk ghosts. And he comes to this hotel and called the Dolphin. And he gets there. And the manager is like, what can I do to get you to not stay in this room? And then he's like, your little publicity stunt isn't going to fucking deter me. And he's like, come into my office. And he's like, I am pretty much begging you not to fucking stay in this room for your own good. And John Cusack's like, this is all part of the charade. I get it. Just like fucking cut it out. Like, take me to the room. And he's like, and besides, if you didn't want to sell me the room, you would have had it listed as occupied. And then he's like, well, I fucking did have it listed occupied. And then the writer was so adamant getting in the room that he had his lawyers like investigate. And basically they can't turn anyone away from any room that's vacant legally. So anyway, but this room, it has made people go blind who stay in it. And there's been multiple murders, multiple suicides. And John Cusack's like, how is this possible? I'm going to stay in this room, prove that it's nothing to it, right? Anyway, he gets in the room. Stephen Kingness ensues in his best psychological horror he's ever fucking done. It's... Imagine if like The Shining, but confined to one single room.
I remember the trailers and stuff. It's a little bit older, right? Like
2005-ish.
Yeah.
But the movie is way longer than the book.
Okay.
And adds a ton of backstory to the character so they can have more to kind of play on cinematically and for like the horror elements. And there's a big scene in the movie where he's like running through a vent shaft and he thinks like a ghost is chasing him. That does not happen in the book. In the book, because actually when I watched the movie and he gets into a ventilation shaft, I was like, He's escaped the room element of this to me. It's kind of the illusion kind of broken, but I still love the movie. I would highly recommend it if you want to just see John Cusack going.
Love it. I will. I will. It's funny. It's one I wanted to watch back in the day and kind of got away.
Yeah, it's one of King's most underrated bangers.
I got another good one.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of Paul Dano movies. You ever seen Swiss Army Man?
Yes.
I thought that was incredible.
And it's the same people who made Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes,
eh?
exactly.
So
that was kind of my one of the first times I like dipped into A24.
Yeah. One of their earliest
before I realized before I realized I like their stuff.
And you know what's awesome? When I was not working for Impact, I was like, okay, I need to find full-time work like now, or else I have to go back to school. I sent every film studio in the world pretty much an email saying, here's my resume. I need to get on a full-time set. Here's what I do. No one got back to me except for A24, and they said, through our hiring department, we only hire for like the corporate entity of A24. The directors personally do the hiring process for their movies. Like they're the creative things in that. They said, so unfortunately we can't help you out here, but keep an eye out on like union websites and stuff like that, or like IATSE, which is like the crew union site. But it was so awesome that out of all the studios, the studio that's known for being cool and indie was the one that got back to me and said, here's some advice. Like they did not have to do that, but so fucking awesome, eh? Like,
oh man,
I love.
See, like I could give you like a top, like I have so many. It's so many movies that I enjoy in that. Like I could give you like a top A24. It's like
The Green Knight might be sitting in
Green Knight's good. Green Knight's great. I loved Green Room. You ever seen that?
No, my brother every day is like, did you watch Green Room yet? Did you watch Green Room?
I really enjoyed that. Sir Patrick Stewart.
Oh yeah, he's like the main Nazi.
He plays. Right? Yeah, he's like exactly. He's like the grand. Whatever. I'm not too familiar with my Nazi terms. He's the high-ranking Nazi.
Yeah. You know what's funny is Cody told me once that they were on tour and they thought it was just going to be like kind of a thriller about touring, and they watched it.
Oh fuck!
Like a semi-impaired state, and they were like, "Oh god,
let's go home.
This is not good vibes at all."
Oh man.
Luckily, I don't think Crownlands is ever playing in a fucking Nazi dive bar. But
oh, that's great.
So. Yeah.
Well, yeah, so there's so many of them, man. I'm sorry, it's not a great answer.
No, those are Goodfellas is a fucking.
That's I would probably, if that was one movie, like it's just so well done. Like your De Niro, your Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci.
Yeah, and right before COVID, me, Dom, Ali, Mav, all of our friends, like 10 of us, went and saw Goodfellas in an IMAX rescan at the Cinesphere in Toronto.
Whoa, that's awesome.
And if you've never been to the Cinesphere in Toronto, it's an IMAX size screen. Not all the movies are rescanned for IMAX, but some are. But they play old movies on it every weekend.
Damn.
And they play some fucking bangers.
That's awesome. There. Oh, I'll check that out.
But yeah, I'm
learning so much here, man.
Bases
I love
here.
it.
And actually, before I go, shout out to another. If you're looking to watch like older movies and even some newer movies, I just discovered the Review Theater in Toronto. So my brother's film premiered there. They play stuff every night, not just weekends, like the Cinesphere. It's independently run. It's a very old-timey looking theater. So like next week, I'm seeing the 1960s ghost movie, The Innocents there, and then Inland Empire by David Lynch.
Hell yeah.
So that's going to be nutty. But let me just fucking make sure this is recording for my sign off, because we're coming close to the end here. Absolutely.
Let's do it.
I think we just did a solid 2 hours today.
Love it, man.
So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. So let people know where they can find you, your show, your shop, and send us away with some good info.
For sure. I don't even think we got into the show.
Yeah.
But that's we'll do a part 2 sometime, maybe.
Hey, look at that. That's how business happens right there. Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for having me. You've had like some really cool guests so far, and like the show's super professional. Everything looks great, and it's an honor to be on, man. It was a really fun time. If you guys want to find some more about me, my main stuff is just Vintage 905. We're in Whitby, Ontario, 108 Dundas Street West. Find us at Vintage 905 on the socials. That's where all the vintage clothing and that's at. My podcast is Gabbin with Gavin. It's at GWG Podcast on Instagram and that. If you'd subscribe on YouTube, I'd love it. I'm trying to catch up to your kind of numbers.
So just because we didn't touch on your podcast
for sure,
fucking at all, I guess the time got away from us.
Yeah, we talked a little too much wrestling.
Give us a quick rundown about your show, what you do, who you have on, and that.
Sure, man. Yeah. It's very similar. It's like long form interview, similar to this, and it's the same sort of thing. Just people I find interesting and like have connected with through my work, kind of the same way you have. It's a lot of like comedians, actors, rappers. We had like some of like the highlights. We had Spenny from Kenny vs. Spenny.
I saw that, and I also would like to get them as guests.
They'd be gone. They had cult classic. Had like one of the guys from Tiger King.
Yeah.
I've had some really cool people, man. Even like guys like I just really like enjoy their work. Like I had Wayne Fetterman, who's like a long time like character actor and like comedian. Okay. And like he was like the neighbor in Step Brothers, and like tons of like he was on like the Larry they had like Larry Sanders Show, and like just like I thought that was so cool. He's telling stories about like Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And like so like it's just been fun, man. All I'm trying to do is just have fun and enjoy myself. And
exactly, you know, same with this show. I was so stressed out because I got the show out like 2 days late the other day, and I was like, you know what, like I don't think the fans are gonna, you know, cry about it or anything like that, and I'm not gonna stress myself out too much. And you know, that's why I Chris Van Vliet, one of the greatest wrestling interviewers of all time,
absolutely,
he said, when I conduct an interview, I want it to be like catching up with an old friend, you know, professional, concise, but also friendly. And that's same with me. You know, when I did a test run of this show a year ago with Ariana Grace, who's on NXT right now.
Oh yeah.
And I watched the movie back. It went terrible. It was so rigid questions being asked, very strict to formula, and I was afraid to kind of show myself. But yeah, I watch your show too. I'm glad that we see a bit of. It's called Luke and Friends, right? Luke plus Friend. That's the show, right? So I'm glad that you also are really trying to have fun with it and not make it such a rigid interview. And,
sure. And at the end of the day, man, like, what's the point of doing it if you're not having fun?
Yeah, exactly. And plus, I think it might be more enjoyable for the guests instead of just having questions.
You don't want to be drilled. Just start like this. Like,
yeah,
this was fun, man. Like 2 hours flew by. Just. Or
yeah,
plus
sure.
What like
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, like it was fun just chatting wrestling. Like I learned a lot about movies and
yeah, well, I learned a lot about fucking vintage clothing. What an industry. But anyways, thank you so much for coming on.
It was a pleasure, man.
Check out Gabbin with Gavin, Dundas West,
108 Dundas Street West. You got it.
In Whitby, Ontario. Anyways, thank you guys so much for checking us out today, and yeah, have a lovely, lovely day. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.